and you go to bed with satisfaction.
Gonna get me a religion. I'm gonna join the Baptist church. I am gonna get me a religion. I'm gonna join the Baptist church. That's right. Gonna be a Baptist preacher so that I won't have to work. Well, I'm in the pulpit, jumping up and down, 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 down. Yeah, I'm in the pulpit, jumping up and down. Okay. Well, I've been hollering good news all the miles around. My sister jumped up now. Ooh, she began to grin. Yeah, she did. Well, my sister jumped up. Ooh, she began to grin. She said, Lord have mercy. Please forgive me for my sins. Forgive me now. Please, please, please. Oh. Get me religion. Gonna join the Baptist church. Climb up this mountain.
Hello. We just thought we'd like to tell you how you can help support this podcast. If you like what we're doing, we've come up with a way to help us support it because there are certain costs involved, and you know we can't keep using Joyce's credit card. She's flipped. She's gone off on one, and so we've joined buymeacoffee.com/Finnegans.
So if you want to support the pod, all you need to do is go to that website, and there you can buy us a pint.
Buy us a pint. It's costly pint.
It's a £5 for a pint. It's Southern prices. Blame the Tories. That's what I say.
Yeah.
Or secondly, you can become a member at Finnegan's. And so you give so much a month, and there's 3 different tiers for that. The first tier gets your name in the credits at the end of the podcast. The second tier gets you a shout out during the pod. And finally, the third tier gets you on the wall.
Gets you on the wall, lad.
On the wall,
on the wall, lad.
So we've got loads of ideas with the pod, how we want to develop it and see it grow. But if you would like to support us, it's always going to be free, the podcast. But if you'd like to support us, then you can do that by visiting buymeacoffee.com/Finnegans.
Thank you.
Evening all. How are we doing?
Caught me by surprise there, Tom.
I did, sorry.
I know you counted 3, 2, 1.
I did, I mean.
But I wasn't still expecting
I thought 3, 2, 1 is the universal indication.
It is.
We're about to start something.
But literally, I was still thinking, no, he's not going to go live. He's going to count. He's got -1.
Well,
anyway,
welcome. Welcome to Wednesday night at Finnegan's. For another session.
In for another session.
Great to have you watching. Drop us a line in the comments. Let us know
what you're drinking.
What you're drinking.
We're on the
from.
cheap stuff tonight, Tom.
Carling,
we can't afford them Tory prices, for beer anymore. No, so we're on the cheap stuff tonight.
Stuff.
The Carling, beautiful British lager.
Is it from Britain? Is it?
Apparently, that was the big selling point during Brexit, wasn't it? It was, yeah. You don't know nothing. You know nothing, Tom Grant.
That means I know something.
You don't know nothing.
Yeah.
You know
Can't have a
nothing.
double negative. I know that much.
I know that much
All right, pipe
myself.
down. Evening.
It's Game of Thrones, isn't it?
Do you know what I was looking at? You can watch
Oh,
all
here we
the
go. Change the
previous
subject.
episodes of Finnegan's. You can watch them on YouTube, Facebook, or you can get them wherever you get
Can
your
you?
podcasts. Yeah, you can.
Wow.
And do you know what? I was looking at some of the guests we've had recently.
Had he been good?
We've had Peter Dowd, the MP.
Someone should have protected him.
I don't know how he doesn't have people working
He
for
was
him.
boss.
He was good.
Yeah,
Very quietly spoken.
He was a lovely guy.
But he
though.
was a very
He
nice
great.
guy. Very nice guy.
Promised us some cash for the church, which hasn't come yet, but never mind.
I think that was an under the table.
Defo not going to send it now, is he? Hey,
There's
never
Helen
mind.
Jones, Paul Beasley from
yeah.
BBC Radio Merseyside.
Yeah. Smashing
Smashing it.
again.
Last week was a hit.
Oh, last week was a hit, yeah.
We had
Although,
Mr. and Mrs.
I
Not
think
Mr.
that's a once a year thing we should do. So
Valentine's
can't
Day.
have them in all the time.
No.
They kind of ruin the vibe.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
I thought it was a good night that though. We had
Oh,
very
you would
positive
say that and just
feedback.
leave me, drop me right in it, wouldn't you? Hey.
I really enjoyed spending time with my wife.
Yeah.
It was a good
Oh,
evening.
dear me.
So who's in? Let's have a little look.
I
Who's...
enjoy spending time with my wife, and that door's locked. So,
Evening, Josh. Nice to see you, mate. How are we doing? Emma's in. My wife's listening. See?
yeah, see.
There we go. Fantastic. Ray's in. He's drinking. Carling. Evening, Mike. Nice to see you, mate. Josh is a regular. He's in. Miriam's in. Thanks for coming.
Just Josh Dignam.
Josh Dignam's in.
Josh,
Just throw
are
some
you coming
comments up,
tomorrow
Jack.
night
Let's
or
see
what?
him.
I want to see
Josh.
you tomorrow night, Josh. You were doing all right, mate.
What,
Come on.
did he not come last week?
He hasn't been for 2 weeks. He's
So
bottled it.
All right.
He's
If you
hit the
don't,
wall.
if you don't know, we're doing a comedy course, partly with the podcast, partly with church, raising
Yeah.
funds for our local community grocery. And the gig is a week away on Thursday.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, and everyone's now starting
So
to panic.
you can see the fear in people's eyes now.
See the fear in my enemy's eyes.
And so Margs, who will be watching later, she's part of, we've got Annie in.
We've
We'll
got
say hello
Annie
to
in,
Annie in a second, but
Quiet.
she's part of Annie's choir. So she watches after she's been to the choir.
Yeah.
But she came today to try
She
and
was
pull
like-
out, didn't she?
She was terrified. And you were like,
And,
I don't know what was up with you. This is normally good Baptist, bad Baptist
Yeah.
here, like, but he was like, he just went on it. He's just like, you're terrible.
no, I didn't say not terrible at comedy. I said you can't pull out.
You
can't pull out. But I did the course.
It's terrifying. It's gonna wait till the night. You'll be even worse. He was saying to her. It was. I was trying to make her feel all right, and you went full on nuclear on it and laughed at it. And she actually said, "I hate you."
Well, she did. But that's not the first person today to say that. In fact, but she's going to be brilliant. So Margs, don't pull out. Josh. I've heard Josh's jokes. They were
You were
funny.
there, yeah.
Don't pull out,
Don't
Josh.
pull out,
You'll be
Josh.
great,
Come on,
mate.
lads.
You'll be really
Turn
good.
up tomorrow night. You'll be fine. Just come and do it.
It's
going
gonna
to
be
be a
great.
good night.
It
Just
is.
Turn up.
Hope's
Yeah.
in. Janet's in. Nice to see you, Janet. Jackie's in. Nice to have you with us. Chris and Pete are watching. Hope you're
Pete,
feeling
hope
better.
you're feeling
Pete.
better, lad.
Chris has got. They've
We'll
got
have to have you
tickets
we'll
for
have
the
to have
comedy
you
night.
around. I might every now and again. I have the occasional Wednesday night at Finnegan's on a Monday. Because I don't know what day it is sometimes. So it's the Carlin. So I might have Chris and Pete down to Finnegan's bar at some point.
Wow.
I'm going to.
I'm going to tell you what that is. There's been people who have been in the
Doesn't
church for a long time, and
Yeah.
they've never been invited into the sanctuary.
Yeah.
That is the Finnegan house. So that is a
Yeah.
special,
Now I'm going to
a
have them down.
special invite.
There it is.
Very good.
It's official now. You've
There you
been
go.
invited. I don't even
Evening-
talk to people, Chris and Pete. So you,
There you go.
lucky stars.
That's it.
Yeah.
Barbara's in. Nice to see you, Barbara.
Crumpet Barbara,
Fantastic because
Yeah.
she makes crumpets.
of course.
Very
Yes,
good.
I think I
Okay,
must.
right. So let's
Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah,
Let's just welcome Annie.
and
Let's
then we'll
have
get
Annie.
into
Lovely
stuff.
to have you. Thank you so much for coming in tonight.
Hello.
Annie Spiers, everyone.
Hello.
Nice to see you.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Just straight away, Annie. There's a song,
Yeah.
and I just asked you briefly before you came on, but there's a Christian kids song. If
Should
anyone,
ask people to guess which one first
oh,
before you blow it up.
fantastic! So Annie,
Before you blow it up, it's a quite old song, isn't it? But we
It is
still sing
quite
it in
old.
church.
I'm quite
1978.
old.
Oh,
Well, no, we had that debate today.
we did.
Because we seen the 1978, and I said, Annie, that can't be it.
That can't be
She's
Annie.
too
She's too
young
young for that
to have
song.
wrote that
I'll
song.
accept all the flattery I can get.
She-
Keep going. Keep
it-
going.
She'd be far too old now.
Yes.
That's what we said, didn't we?
Well
we
done.
came to that
It's
conclusion.
just so ponderous. Even when you're playing a compliment, it's like we got there in the end. He's like fuming now. Anyway, so we said 1978. There's a song that Annie wrote It's a Christian.
I've said all this.
If you've seen on a manual, Pete on our church thing, Pete does an action song each week, sort of something that the kids can dance along to, and the adults can look like grumpy.
Hurry
during.
up.
And Annie wrote one of those songs. So if you if you've been to church, or you go to our church or another church, and put it in the comments. And what I want
to Google it.
Don't Google it.
No.
Don't
ruin
cheating. Annie, can I just say, because Emma, my wife, writes music.
Okay.
And there's a couple of albums. I'll give you one before you leave.
Thank
Fantastic music, but making money out of music is hard. So we've often thought, what should we do? Write a Christmas song? Like that, that seems to be a money spinner. But I thought maybe a kids' action song. Is there money in it? You must get royalties for that song.
I do get royalties for this particular song.
Yes.
When I first did it, I didn't write it, for anything other than I thought it came to mind. And so I wrote it in about 5 minutes.
Wow.
It did have some verses, which I may or may not let you know later, but they never, made it long term.
Yeah.
And so for a long time, nobody knew anything about it. And it was only in 1985, I think it was in Junior Praise. So a couple of years after that, my husband saw it in Junior Praise, and it was written as anonymous. And we thought, it's not anonymous. And then it was mainly, I just thought, well, I don't want someone else to say that they've written it.
Like Dougie Doug.
Yeah.
That one at the time.
He'd nick it, wouldn't he? Dougie Doug. I got a feeling he's all over it. Some of those he didn't write.
No.
Yes, that's all the others.
Yeah.
No. And then my mum had been very diligent at the time and had written a copy out. So anyway, it took a while to prove that it was me that had done it. And in the end, they believed me. The actual royalties come to something like £4.60 a year.
No.
That's not great. However, life changed when CCLI came up, which is Christian copyright licensing.
Yeah.
And at my peak for quite a while, I was getting £4,000.
Wow. Get Emma on the kids song.
Kids song.
Emma, get on the kids song.
That is because it is now, it's international. It's translated into quite a lot.
I went to America and they were singing it. And so when I realized, I just Googled you, I was deep diving to see, what we could talk about. And that came up and I thought, right, let's see what the people think. Do you know what? You're getting quite a lot of people who think it's Great Big God. I think
that's a great song.
It is a great song.
That would have earned you more
in school assemblies.
Probably.
You'd be a millionaire if it was that one. It's not that one.
No.
And it's not Danny says it Humpty Dumpty.
I'm old, but I'm not that old. I think that's been going for a while longer.
Chris has said, is it Who's the King of the Jungle?
Who's the king of the jungle? Who's the king of the sea? Yeah, I remember.
Fiver, she's just from that.
She's in a mod, no lad.
You know what? We don't report. You're supposed to report what songs you sing, don't you, as a church? We don't, because frankly, administration is not our strong point.
That face.
But you know what?
Shocking.
I'm just going to report.
So you probably would end up with another grand off us.
Probably would, yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I think we're going to report that that's the only song we sing now.
We sing that every week.
This church only sings this.
That's
5 times a week.
The game changer, to be honest with you, was when they separated out church royalties from school royalties.
Oh,
because a lot of schools sing it too.
Yeah.
No, it's about equal, actually. Alan.
Okay, sorry.
About equal. And it is on the decline a bit as far as the royalties go now. But do you know what? It's been a long road. So, fair dues.
Incredible. Wasn't that fantastic?
Well, and a happy birthday song as well. I seen a thing with Claire Grogan, was it? What group was she? Claire Grogan.
I don't know. Is that Claire?
Oh, you won't know. She's well old.
Is that definitely her name?
Woman, she sang a song called Happy Birthday, I think.
What?
Obviously.
Happy birthday to you.
Birthday,
okay.
Birthday.
All right.
Come on.
Well, Stevie Wonder's got one as well, hasn't he?
Has he? What's that one? How's that go?
Happy birthday.
Yeah, well, they're good. They're songs that'll come up every year, aren't they?
Yeah.
That you need to write a birthday song or a Christmas song.
Do you know what? Emma went a little,
or a kids song that everyone loves.
Emma went a little bit darker, and she went for a funeral song. Okay. So she's got one called Coming Home, which is brilliant.
Has he got kids' actions?
No, for a funeral.
Just checking.
I think it's this.
Yeah, but you might find...
Come on, Tom.
You might find a bit of a niche.
That's so dark.
You said she went for the dark song, not me.
Can you imagine that? Well, yeah, no,
Coming
but
home.
it's a great song, that. But yeah, maybe
People
she
need
has
to hear it,
thought
though,
about
don't they,
Christmas
to
Christmas
be able
songs.
to pick up at the funeral.
That's it.
That's what needs to happen.
Claire Grogan, apparently. Which band was Claire Grogan in?
Yeah, that's the one. Which band was she in? I can't remember.
Very good. You've got some fans in tonight, Annie. Miriam sending her love.
Hi, Miriam.
Altered Image.
Oh, Miriam, I just want to. I'm literally talking to Miriam right now.
Mm-hmm.
Our comedy course, you've bought 2 tickets.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to suggest we give you a refund.
Why? Alan's been giving out a disclaimer.
I'm giving a
comedy
disclaimer
night.
out that it's full. There's a lot of people on there who don't go to church doing comedy. So you can imagine the kinds of things they're saying and the subjects they're talking about.
I mean, that's fine, isn't it? But
it's fine as long as you know.
If you're
and I
expecting
feel
that.
Miriam's a little bit precious.
She is precious, but
that's
yeah,
what I mean.
she might not.
She might love it.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm just putting it out there.
It's just Margs effing and jeffing, isn't it? But
It's that Margs
she's about
one,
to she's about to drop out, so you should be all right.
And she's not listening yet, so she won't go.
Very
She's
good.
still coming home from choir.
Very good. Well, I was looking in the news this week.
Okay.
And I actually think there's something that cropped up in the news that Annie might be able to speak to.
She'll be probably
speak about. Basically, I don't know if you saw this, Annie, but in the news this week, they found, I think it was in Japan.
Today it was on the
news. Like a large metal ball.
It was bigger
like
than
massive.
that.
Like massive.
1.5 meters.
On the beach. And
is that right?
Yeah, it's a thing. And
Sky News.
They don't know. This made international news.
Yeah.
And they don't. Well, what we'd like is if anyone could have a guess
at what it is.
Because they don't know.
I've already said it was one of Darwin Núñez's shots. You know, when he first started coming to Liverpool.
Yeah.
Could be one of them, couldn't it?
Were there any remains of beanstalks nearby?
See, that's a sound observation. That.
Thank you very much.
I don't
Big
think
metal ball. It was.
They don't know what it is. It's been nicknamed Godzilla egg.
I think it's possibly just one of, you know, them globe things that you have in your house, but a really big one, like the one they had in the cathedral.
Yeah.
The earth.
Yeah.
One of them, and the paint's come off in the sea. Because they reckon it's hollow inside. Because they thought it was a landmine at first.
Yeah, the bomb squad have been out to it.
Like a sea mine, didn't they? At first, not a landmine, because that would be stupid, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I
just let that one slide. Very good, very good. But let us know what you think that could be. Jack, what do you think that is? No, I didn't think you would.
Come on, Jack. Have an opinion, lad.
Jack's in again tonight.
Yes.
Jack, did you get any sleep last night, Jack? A little bit of sleep.
What time do you go to bed? Actually, what time do you go to sleep?
12. That's
o'clock.
Fine.
What
That's
time did you get up today? I know what time you got up today.
1 o'clock.
You had loads of sleep.
See, he's getting, I don't know, teenagers. You think he's getting too much?
Yeah. After a while, you go over the peak and then you start getting tired again.
Yeah.
It's a disaster.
That's what's happened too.
Yeah.
But what we explained to our listeners last week is that if Jack's got something important the next day, you know, what would you do, Annie? If you had something important, you think something early tomorrow, important, what would I do the night before?
Maybe go to bed a little bit early.
Go to bed a little bit earlier, Annie. That's not unreasonable.
What do you think Jack does?
Go to bed a bit later because it's so exciting.
A bit later.
I do get that.
A bit later. No.
Just don't go to bed. Don't go to bed
there you
at
go.
all.
That's it.
But I get that, Jack, because you don't want to oversleep, do you? Like if it's really important, you might oversleep. You might set your alarm 16 times over and it doesn't go, or you know, any number of fortuitous things that you have a massive giant ball falls from the sky.
Well, that's it.
Anything before you miss the event, so you want to
wants to make sure he doesn't miss anything in case he has to reference
quite
it.
Astute.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well done, Jack.
It turns out we're all doing it wrong.
Turns out you're the one who's in the right here.
If you saw
I just support the underdog.
Well, that's
it. All it is.
You're going to be supporting Alan this evening. If you saw the amount of energy drinks that Jack, you know, consumes, you might not think it was.
Right.
Is it? Oh, he's a legend though. He's come down for the last few weeks. He's helping us out on the pod.
He has.
And he's the one. He knows technology. He's just
fantastic.
It's magical. It's magical.
Is it there?
It's right. It's right there. Right there.
I reckon your head could be a big mental ball.
Maybe it's just my head.
It might have been someone doing a sculpture of your head.
Possibly. But Danny was in there with, is it Darwin Núñez's shot? Quite possible. He stole your joke. Harry Kane's penalty against France.
Oh, yeah.
Very good.
There you go. That's another one.
Also, it's a bowling ball from the Iron Men for the Iron Men. So that's the link. That's why we
the link.
thought, Annie.
Yes.
So I thought maybe we could hear a little bit about In Another Place, because tell us a little bit about the organization, the charity, and where it started, because there's that link between the Iron Men in Crosby
There is.
And
and
In Another Place.
Yeah.
Well, arguably, we moved to Crosby just before the statues did.
Oh, okay.
But they'd been planned for a long time, to be fair. So probably the planning was longer for the Iron Men than it was for us. But we arrived, the first time I saw the Iron Men, some of them were still lying on the car park ground in the car park of Crosby Leisure Centre.
So if people aren't aware what these are, if they're not local to Liverpool, because that would be a mental thing, wouldn't it, for people to discover, if people didn't know that was some sort of art installation, and just seeing out on the beach, that would be, it's iron
so
statue.
they're naked statues
of the
Anthony
artist.
Gormley. Yeah. Fortunately, with his privates facing the sea, so you're not immediately.
I mean, in fairness,
yeah,
it doesn't show the privates. They're kind of
it
non-binary.
does.
No,
Does
they do. They are on there.
I think you haven't been lately.
I haven't been lately.
To the beach.
To the beach.
So they've got like proper
Yeah, they're fully
bits.
Yeah.
Wow.
See,
I mean, not in massive detail. It's an
Yeah.
iron
Clearly.
sculpture that gets submerged in the sea all the time, but it's definitely male, Alan.
I just think it's mad that this was a thing. Like, what? How did this get through planning permission?
He's done it everywhere, didn't he? And then he put them there for a bit.
Is this man okay? Is
Tom,
he just like taking?
He gets paid a
If you
fortune.
think about it,
Yeah.
there's naked artwork all over the place, isn't
No,
it? Like old stuff in museums and sculptures and things. They were really into naked stuff.
I don't mind that. That's
Yeah.
fine.
It's in
but
a,
I think
in a
the
building out the way.
Well, yeah, it's on the beach for starters, which he's not like you could have a towel around him.
It's
or
not
something
like it's
that.
a nativist beach, is it?
No.
Right.
Also,
Put your shorts on, lad.
for me is mind blowing is I don't think often the artists of these beautiful naked people pictures.
Yeah.
I don't think often they thought I want to do a naked person.
Yeah.
And then just like
yeah.
did it. So that's is he an okay? Do you know anything about him? What's
I
he
met
like?
him.
Have you? He seemed all right.
Seemed all right.
Was he wearing clothes?
Right. Fully clothed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were there before Anthony Gormley was there in all his beauty.
Well, as I say,
It's not him.
It is him.
It's a picture of him.
Yeah, it's him
It's
himself.
him. He's done himself.
I think, to be fair, he's making a plaster cast of himself and of a body, and he thinks that's a bit mean. So if I'm not prepared to do it myself, then I shouldn't make someone else do it. So that's quite nice, really, isn't it?
Yeah, but we now all know the size of his willy.
Yeah, I don't know whether that bit is completely in proportion. It might have exaggerated it.
I mean,
that's it, isn't
it's
it?
cold on the beach. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
So, but wow, I didn't know it was him.
It is. Yeah.
I can't believe.
I know. That's what I'm thinking. I just thought it's more, they wouldn't get away with that. It was a while ago, wasn't it? Now
You'd get away with it still.
2005. It's not that long.
Yeah.
He moved them around for a bit, didn't he? But then he decided
Did
to
you want to
keep
know
them.
a bit about this?
All right,
I mean, I know we really want to get onto the charity work, but obviously you can give us the full
link.
Yeah, no, I'm interested. 100%. I just don't want you to think we brought you down here to give us the history of the naked statues on the beach.
So we'd just moved to Crosby, and then I'd heard about these statues on the beach, and I'd previously only ever been to the beach, once a few times from other parts of Liverpool. So I thought I'll go down, see what they're like. Who knows? They were a bit controversial at the time, and as I say, loads of them weren't in the ground yet. There's 3 meters of them that's buried in the ground,
and
but that's not part of him. He's not 3 meters beneath the ground.
Not.
He's a tall fella.
It's just like a sleeper. That's in the ground,
all right, cool.
And
the piles are even handy so that they don't fall over, basically.
Exactly, because it's got the tide coming around, especially the ones way, way, way out to sea, because it's a really, really far tide. So it was a really difficult exercise to put them all in, apparently, because the beach, although you think beaches are flat, it's not flat at all. It's quite undulating, but he wanted them all to look level with each other.
Of course,
so that was quite difficult. And also, some of them are way out to sea. So the only time you could dig them in was when the sea was way out. And then you have to get a great big digger out there to dig quick. 3 meters before you're swamped.
Alan used to be a builder. I don't know if you know, he's dropping little building talk here and there.
Yeah, he'll suck a pile driving machine in there.
Yeah, driven the piles.
It was
straight really low.
A lot of effort to do. Plus, I could tell you a lot of things, but apparently there's a bit of debate over who owns the beach. Is it the Queen? Is it somebody else? So that's quite a big thing, just getting permission to put them on the beach.
Yeah,
as well.
wow.
Anyway, I saw them and I thought they were fantastic. I loved them. And then I thought previously I'd been running an after-school club in Everton for 10 years.
Yes.
And we used to have a nativity walk through the park to try and bring a bit of magic back into Christmas from the actual Christmas story, not just Father Christmas. And I thought, maybe we could do that sort of thing on the beach. Crosby is a bit posher than where we were in Everton. So we did manage sheep in Everton a few times. But I thought, well, we could probably manage some horses maybe and stuff like that. Dress up some of the statues. That would be really cool. They're quite controversial. So maybe quite a few people would be interested. And I'm all about trying to get some good news out there.
Yeah.
So was mulling that over. At the end of the holidays, this all goes a bit bonkers. My parents, who used to be farmers, turned it into a zoo about 25 years ago. And they said, why don't you
That's where Who's the King of the Jungle come from, wasn't it?
No.
Oh, sorry. Go on.
Good try.
Sorry.
And then they said, why don't you use a real camel? Because they'd had this camel that had been born, rejected by its mother, was quite tame, and had gone back to its other company that owned him. But so we got Callum the camel. I booked him up, and then come back to Crosby. So all these people that don't really know us at all. And I said, just thinking about running a nativity in the dark in the middle of winter on the beach. I've got access to a real camel. Now, what I didn't know is in Crosby, people are really polite. So even if they think you're absolutely nutty and they don't agree with your idea, they go, that's nice.
That's interesting.
I didn't realise that for about 8 years. I thought they just had completely agreed with me. Because in Everton, people say, if they think it's a rubbish idea.
They tell you.
Exactly. So I'd had 15 years of Everton of people telling them what they think. So I thought, great.
So you just thought
everyone loves it.
You just thought, I'm smashing ideas
and
now out of the park. Every single one. Gold dust.
I think they just felt overwhelmed by this very enthusiastic, slightly weird woman who wanted to have a nativity in the dark on the beach with a camel, and sort of go, okay, we'll go with that. And actually, amazingly, we did manage to get a cast together. Some of them had done acting before, many of them hadn't. We learned a lot of lessons of all sorts of things that went wrong. But actually, and the
do
risk
it when the
assessment,
tide's out.
Yeah,
we had worked out about the tide.
It's just like the
early on.
actors just
Thank you.
onto their necks,
Drowned. Hanging on to Iron Man.
I thought it was a nativity, not Noah.
I would say there are easier places to run a play than
not
on a beach
Wow.
in the dark in the middle of winter.
Yeah.
But because it was bonkers, and I would like to say maybe because the good Lord had actually put the idea in my head and other people's heads as well. It was amazing. We got covered by both local television stations, and about 5,000 people came to the beach.
Some people from our church were involved.
5,000 people came to the beach.
Spread over 4 performances. The biggest single performance was 2,500 people.
Wow, that must have been crazy.
It was amazing. The whole of Blundell Sands was gridlocked. People just abandoned their cars.
Wow.
On double yellows. And everyone walking across the grass there was just swarms of people.
Coming just to hear the nativity story and to see Anthony Gormley in all his glory.
Well, they didn't see a lot of acts. It was dark. We went and you saw them from the back.
So did you have to
be honest with you, not many people know this. There wasn't really a statue in quite the right place for the bit of beach that we'd picked because they're a bit far out, and the audience we were up by the Coast Guard station. Yeah. And it's like the sea wall is like stairs.
Mm-hmm.
And so the audience were on those, so they got a nice view. But the statues are quite far out, and we wanted to dress at least one up, like as a sort of wise man-ish, robed person. Yeah. So we actually had been donated parts of a shop dummy. They weren't the same shop dummy, but we did manage 2 arms, a body, some legs and things. So we painted that Iron Man colour and planted it much nearer the audience, so it was in the right place. So we called her Plastic Woman, and even the person that had organised for the Iron Man to be put in didn't realise that was us. And she had her hand on her hip.
Yeah, you should have left that there. That would have been boss.
That would have been hilarious.
I'm not sure it would have stood
Yeah, no, it
sway
probably
quite
wouldn't
as well,
The
stand.
to be fair.
piles, we need
Yeah,
piles to
yeah,
be
yeah.
driven
Yeah.
very low to
Yeah.
keep it there.
Yeah.
You love piles.
And so, I mean, that's just incredible. And was that the start of In Another Place? Was that
It was
because the statues are called Another Place?
they are.
I
And
see
we
what you
thought
did
we
there.
are
In another place.
Another place
Yeah.
at another place. Yeah,
Great.
cool name. So then that was just a one-off originally, and then because of
What
all
were you
these
doing
people
at this
came-
point? Because that obviously wasn't a thing, a job. It wasn't a charity that you've now built. What were you actually doing?
Well, I was still commuting into Everton 3 or 4
So
days
you're
a
working
week,
in Everton
running
still?
this after-school club.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay.
And so that carried on for a couple of years. And
Yeah.
then meanwhile, having done this nativity play that was so successful, we then thought, oh, well, maybe we do another play on the beach, but this time in the sun, in the summer. That's a novel idea.
That makes
Daylight.
perfect sense.
Yeah.
Daylight,
Perfect
then you
sense.
don't need to actually have lights and generators
Mm.
and things
Yeah.
like that.
When the
Like quite-
tide's out.
Exactly. We were good on the tide. We worked the tide out all the time. But so we did a play called Tales in Another Place in the summer, which were Tales spelt Tales. And that was all different animals that were in Bible stories, some of the parables that Jesus told, but modernized them. So, for example, the Good Samaritan, some
Yeah.
people may have heard of. There's a donkey in the Good Samaritan story because the fella puts the sick guy on his donkey.
Mm.
But we had a donkey, as in donkey rides on the beach. And the
Nice.
fella that was the donkey ride person said, "Yeah, mate,
Use one of
we'll give you a
these."
lift to the ambulance or whatever."
Yeah.
The Aussie. Can't remember.
The Aussie.
Can't remember how kind he was. Just the ambulance or the Aussie. And so there was stories like that. So the camel came back, but camels in the summer look awful.
What do you mean?
Because all the hair drops off and then they
Well,
molt.
you'd have thought they were good in the
Oh.
They
summer,
look a bit bold.
wouldn't you?
Do they?
Wouldn't you think they'd be good in the summer? Because they're
That's-
in deserts all the
I
time.
think that's when you need them.
They'd be flourishing, wouldn't they, in the
Yeah.
summer?
Yeah.
But they've gone
That's when they're at
baldy.
their best.
Yeah, I mean, not bold, but
Yeah.
like just crew cut.
So people were
And then in the
people were a bit
winter-
disappointed
Well,
when
I
they
wa-
saw
I
it.
was. I didn't
Yeah.
mention it because I obviously said, "Oh,
in case they
fantastic."
were feeling self-conscious. The
Got to
camel.
make it sound good, haven't you? Even if you're disappointed.
Yeah.
Highly disappointed.
PVA glue.
That's right.
PVA glue the camel.
Down the local barbers shoving stuff on. Multicolored camel.
So I don't know if you can guess why the camel was there in the summer.
Why was
Bit
the
of
camel?
Bible knowledge for two
Oh,
Well,
masters.
Here we go.
There we go.
What could possibly go wrong?
We'll ask our audience, Tom, because they
Wow.
obviously
That's
they clearly know more than
Nice.
us, don't they? We've got a good crowd in.
Yeah.
They'll
Look
know.
at him,
They'll know which
it's all of the
story's
time.
got a camel in the Bible.
I know what story it is. I just want to see if
Oh,
you know what
do
story it is.
Do you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Blimey.
Go on then.
I was just waiting for you. To
No,
see
I'm
if
waiting
you
for
can get it.
I submit to your superior authority. I haven't got a clue.
There's some comments coming in talking about how cold it is on the beach. It is cold. Chris has put a comment in that I'm not reading out loud, Chris, but that is hilarious. But we cannot say that. People think I'm blushing. Mikey said Tom's blushing. Go on, go down, Jack. Let's see what else are up there. Very good. Oh, and we're getting some football scores update as well. Very good. So, Annie, how did you end up doing this kind of thing? You're singing songs about jungles when you're 14. Yeah. Nativities. Had you always been a person of faith, or how's that come about for you? Because obviously, you know, it doesn't sound like you're living what some people might call a normal life. You know, if you're
You're making a
Pete-
judgment there.
no,
Tom.
no, not like no, I'm not saying you're
You say she's
abnormal.
not normal.
But I'm just saying you're not, you
Yes.
know, PVA gluing camels and stuff.
Yeah, it's not right.
I know the PVA glue that you've just fabricated a story. I did never put
He
any
does.
PVA on a camel
He does what
in
most.
my life.
He does what most good storytellers
That's
say.
it.
They say something as a bit of a random
Yeah.
comment, and then it just
And
becomes
they
true.
build on it.
It just becomes true after that.
Shock horror.
Rob
Local,
Fake news.
local woman.
No PVA was attached to this camel. At any
No camels
point
were
in
glued
history.
at any
Glued
point
camel
in
to
this
the beach.
performance.
Guess what I'm trying to say is, how did you become
Oh,
a Christian?
that was easier, wasn't it? Hey.
Well, I became a Christian having been, had a pretty wicked past with a
Okay.
lot of shameful things.
Oh wow!
Oh, wow.
Tell us more.
And finally, when I was 6, I
After your second album, you did the difficult album.
Yeah.
After I was 6, I followed my sister's example. Which,
Okay.
to be fair, I did nearly everything that my sister did, who was
Okay.
16 months older. And she had just asked Jesus into her life. So I did the same, which I'd like to think it wasn't just, well, I do actually remember it. So I don't think it was just because she was doing it. But, she was a good sister.
Yeah.
So I might as well, if she's done it, it's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
So I was in the kitchen at the time, very
Right.
holy place to be,
Wow.
just by the larder door.
The
You ever had a
larder door.
I've heard of a larder,
It's
yeah.
an old farmhouse,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
a larder car.
No, not a larder car.
Just in case
No,
you think.
I've heard of a larder, though.
Good.
My nan has one, but I think it started getting called the pantry, possibly, as well.
Well,
It's
Oh,
larder.
cool. You.
Bit of
I
a
was-
You're a bit posh, you
bit
two,
of a
aren't you?
flip in between.
Listen, I was born
Posh,
down
you
in,
probably had a fridge freezer, you.
I'm
Fridge
from down
freeze.
near Brazil, so I was like this. So it was a larder.
Okay.
You're
all
from
right?
Brazil.
No, Bristol.
Bristol, my love. Do you know down in the West Country?
Bristol.
Down there. Actually, it was Somerset, not Bristol. It's about 8 miles outside Bristol.
Wow, what's happened to your voice?
I know.
She was in Everton for 8 years, 10 years,
15 years.
15, sorry.
years.
Get your facts
So,
right.
yeah, get facts.
Gluing camels
I know.
to the stadium.
Watches, both.
That gluing camels is going to stick now. People are going to see
gonna
you in the
stick.
street
Yay!
and they're going to
He's not a
say,
good enough
That
comedian
that
to
wasn't
get
me who
that
said
pun.
that.
He doesn't even know he did a pun now, does he?
did. I know.
That's it. I didn't know I
He
done it.
said
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 6 years old
So
in
I
the
was-
larder.
Not in the
Not
larder.
in the
Sorry.
larder. By the larder, in the
door.
kitchen.
It's
Six-
just difficult on facts,
Keeps
aren't you?
making
years
things
old.
up, doesn't
I
he?
know.
Does it to me all the time.
6 years old,
No
driving a
PVA
larder
glue.
Driving a larder
No
with a
PVA
tub of
glue
glue.
was
through
involved.
Everton with a camel on the roof rack. She glued to it. I mean,
Listen, I've driven through Bristol with a lion on the back of the trailer, but not
Wow.
a camel on the larder.
was that from your parents' zoo?
No, no, it was a pretend lion.
Oh,
From
I don't know
St.
what's going
George's
on
Park.
I
today.
don't know
I'm
what's
so
happening.
sorry, Annie. You're such
He's
a
not
lovely
normally like
person.
this. He normally has to tell me to shut off.
No.
Look at you.
Please,
Anyway,
come
shall I go back
Sorry.
to the serious stuff
Yes,
of
yes,
how I
please.
became a Christian?
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
on.
I don't
Yes.
think you're treating it seriously. This is from the heart.
Okay.
Okay.
Go for it.
So I was
Sorry.
by the larder door
Yeah.
with my mum, and I asked Jesus into my heart.
Yeah.
And that was it.
What? So
That's it. That's the story.
but as a 6-year-old, so I'm guessing your parents
I
were
know, it was
Christians.
pretty bad before.
Were your
they-
Yeah.
parents Christians?
My parents were Christians.
Yeah.
They actually, my mum became a Christian at a Billy Graham rally.
Oh,
Oh.
in Liverpool.
No,
No.
London. She's from London.
Okay.
Yeah.
From
Maybe Liverpool.
wherever it
So
was.
from
else.
Brazil.
And don't forget, that'll be in 1960s instead, won't it?
Yeah, ancient.
Yeah, it'll be in 60s.
1955.
It'll be in
Okay.
80 something.
Yeah.
And my dad became a Christian at his school. I think when he was about 12.
Okay. Wow.
So they were Christians when they married, and that was really important to them. So we were brought up in a home where we talked about Jesus, about God, like he was just another member of the family. And my dad, as a farmer, used to pray about what he should plant.
Oh, I love
each
that.
year, which crops and
That's
stuff
brill.
like that.
Potato man.
There's a guy who did that, didn't there?
Yeah.
Angus thingy.
Yeah, Buchanan.
One of my favourite stories about my
It's not
dad
Buchanan.
is he had
You're thinking of the guy who does through the keyhole.
No, I'm not.
Who lives in
What's
a
his
house
name?
like this.
Potato man. Someone
Angus
else tell
Buchan.
us.
I've met
Well,
him.
I was close.
Yeah.
just missing out on this
Sorry.
story, aren't they, Jack?
Sorry.
Terribly.
We're not
rude.
normally this bad,
you
honestly.
not?
No, honestly.
I
We're
don't
not.
believe
It's
you.
him.
Annie
all right.
knows. Annie's been to our church many times, so
Annie
she
knows,
knew
yeah.
what she was signing
I
up
did.
for here, and
I
she's wonderful and came anyway.
Anyway, one of my favourite stories of my dad
Yeah.
is he had a cow that was really sick. He was a dairy farmer, and they tried everything that they could, normal stuff, to make it better. And then the vet was there and had said, "I'm really sorry, but the cow's not going to get better. It's going to die." So then my dad said, "Well, do you mind if we pray for it?" So the vet thought, he's paying for my time. It's probably all right.
Yeah.
So my dad prayed for the cow, and the outcome of the story was the cow died, but the vet became a Christian
Wow.
because he
Wow.
thought, crazy farmer
Yeah.
thinks something's going to happen, and I don't know.
I thought
Something must have happened, mustn't it?
I
'Cause
thought PVA glue was going to come in then again.
no PVA glue at that
Here
point.
we go. Is it this Bible story?
Yeah.
It's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle
Ah!
than to
You
stick it
didn't
to
know
the top
that,
of a
did you? That's
larder.
I
because
didn't
someone's
know.
told you.
I didn't know that.
The comments are there.
Than
I
to
forgot
stick
that
it on top
story.
of a larder.
Mikey's thrown up the paraphrase of my question, which was, "Hey Annie, you're not normal." Was there ever a time that you were normal? That's not what I said. I couldn't say, the words weren't right for me. Very good. Let's all leave Tom alone now.
Who's that?
Very good.
Emma.
No, Tao. Let's all leave Tom alone. Very good. So, I grew up in a Christian house as well. I love the face you pull, Annie, as I start talking. It's like you're looking at like, what is this?
You
like,
had on one tonight, though.
Like
I've got to be honest.
It's like she's going, I'm doing my best to give her like listening look, but he's nuts. Look. Yeah.
Listen, I'm a qualified counsellor. I can do a listening look.
I feel counselled. It's good.
I feel cancelled.
He should have cancelled you. That's what the Daily Mail did. He's been on Britain's Got Talent, if you haven't heard. Have you heard that? He's on Britain's Got Talent. And so, as I was saying, I can't remember what I was saying.
You were saying you were brought up in a
You were
I was brought
brought
up in a Christian house, and I had the benefit of that in that my parents, we just talked about God, and
I wasn't.
For me, that was normal, which for me, as I think is great, because obviously as I've grown up, I've realized, it's real for myself. But from a great starting point, I had my parents kind of living faith out, and me seeing that it worked. Something, it works. So I thought this, in some ways, I didn't doubt. I thought God must be real because I saw something real about it in the way my parents lived. And so you had a front row, front row watch to that as well. And so for you, was it just then
plain sailing?
Plain sailing.
Not
I'm imagining not, because it's not been in my life, plain sailing.
I think it was fine. There were a couple of points I look back on. One was when I was about 12. Up until then, I've been quite popular at school and stuff like that. And then at about 12, I started
writing songs.
No, that came later. That was when I was fully unpopular.
Okay.
No, I think because people started having opinions about things, and so sometimes I would disagree with people or give a Christian perspective, and people said, "Oh, it's some weird religious nut," and things like that. So that was we went to a really exciting church in the centre of Bristol, which called Pipon J, and I was one of the first 3 kids in the Sunday school at a time when there were very few people in the church, and we saw it in 10 years grow to 300 people in the church, and all sorts of really exciting things there. And so when I was 12, there were some people visiting, and I asked God for something called to be filled with the Holy Spirit. When you get filled up with some sort of level of joy and determination and strength and things that you wouldn't have under your normal self. And so that was a bit of a point when I suppose I felt, this is for me that I'm doing. This isn't just because I'm a family or anything else. I'm going up to the front of this church. They said, if anyone wants to come up and be prayed for. So I did. So that was one point. Then the next point, school was a challenge, to be honest with you. Me and my sister started a Christian union in school, and we were told, okay, that's all right, but the head of RE will support you to do that. So this was to get a group of Christian other students together from the school to just pray and things. And they said, you can do it, but you mustn't pray, read the Bible, or sing anything.
Wow.
So we're thinking, okay, that's quite restricting, because those were the main 3 things that we might have done. And,
what was their thinking? Were they just worried?
I don't know.
They didn't say you couldn't dance.
They didn't. Yeah. So I don't know what
with
the logic
flag
was. I think maybe they thought, we'll stop the extremism.
Okay.
Nip it in the bud.
Yeah.
Don't let them do anything.
Yeah.
No, and that'll be all right. But we decided that we would meet in secret. So it was like, okay, we're now going to rebel against. We did, and we met sometimes under the stage, in amongst all the props. Maybe that's why I'm doing theatre stuff now. And prayed there. Sometimes we sat on the wall in the playground and prayed, but just looked like we were talking to each other, so nobody knew. So it was somehow they managed to make being a Christian really cool. Wow. Because
they banned it.
Because they banned it.
Fancy banning something with kids? They're going to do it, aren't they? Yeah.
Amazing. So there you go. So that was through school. And then my next point really was I did a psychology degree at university.
Okay.
And at the time, their psychology
Coming
was
handy with you
seen
tonight.
She's reading me like a book.
She is.
like
I'm worried now.
So at the time, Christians thought psychologists were weird and quite dangerous, and psychologists thought Christians were
weird
bonkers.
and dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a slightly unhappy place to sit in the middle,
Mm.
where I loved psychology. I thought it was fascinating and really, really interesting. I hadn't done it at school, so it was fascinating. And also as a Christian, it felt to me like, well, why shouldn't psychology be? Psychology is just the study of human behavior. We've got loads of different behaviors as humans, but some of us, it's about spiritual stuff as well. Some of it is about why do people try and find religions or talk about God or find deep emotions inside them they wouldn't find, and all those stuff. So, but I did go through a bit of a crisis at that time, because we ran a little mission and we were talking to some of the lecturers and things, and they were bombarding me with questions and stuff. And really, I would say they hadn't really read the Bible, because they were querying all sorts of things, and they saying stuff about Jesus which wasn't logical with what the Bible said. But anyway, at the end of a weekend of being bombarded with questions, I did feel pretty wrung out. And then on the Monday morning, the lecture was, who am I? And I sat in this lecture thinking, I'm actually not really sure anymore. I think I've sort of reached a blank, and maybe it's not true. Maybe my parents were very well-meaning, but it's actually a load of rubbish, and maybe we just are intelligent rats, and that's it. And so I left the lecture in tears and went out, sat in the park. This was in Sheffield, and lay on the grass in the park, just looking at the sky for a bit. And for a moment, it all felt black, and it felt, well, maybe there is nothing, there is no meaning, there is no purpose, and we are just random accidents. But then looking up at the trees and the sky, I just thought, I can't believe that all this came by chance. For me, that's a bigger statement of faith than it is to say that God made it and made some purpose with it all and some design in it all. So from then on, probably over the next 6 weeks, I started putting the jigsaw back together. And so I think, there's ups and downs. I was a drugs counsellor for 7 years. There were a few times in that as well where people queried things, some of my colleagues actually. But I guess the further I've gone through life, where there'd been all sorts of answers to prayer and things like that, I think I no longer am going to doubt, because it makes most sense to me.
I sit in green rooms with comedians who are notoriously atheist. A lot of comedians, not all of them, but quite a lot of them are quite in-your-face atheist. And I get all the kinds of stuff that you're talking about all the time. And I kind of like the kinds of postmodern thing that we're in.
Yeah.
Post-truth thing that we're in. Because
so it's a level playing field, isn't it?
It is now, yeah. Because you can just say, well, this is my truth. This is what I believe the world to be. And then you've got the same story. And what I often find is we talked with Brendan, didn't we? And he ends up talking about like energies and stuff like this. And I when people say that to me, I hear God. I don't hear energies. Do you understand what I mean? Because I've had loads of conversations like that where I think I hear God, and they're God's fingerprints, but they're just not quite recognizing that. They're recognizing there's energies there, and I'm there then saying things like, I think that's the God of creation, and them creation energies that you're feeling, they're God's spirit. So you were talking about the Holy Spirit before. God's spirit. I say things like that, and I find there's loads of like, what are they called? Where you can agree in a sense, but you're using different language in it. I think, but yeah, I had loads of people batter me with stuff all the time. You know what I mean? And one of the easiest things to say is, you know what? I don't know.
That's it. I don't feel the need. So I used to have to feel the need to have all of it boxed off and have every answer. And I just that was a pretty soul destroying attempt, you know, because
you answer the question and they just hit you with something else. They're not even interested in having a right answer, are they? Most of the time, it's just about deconstructing you.
Yeah. But also sometimes I just think it's really interesting finding out what other people think and what they believe and things, because actually sometimes it's just got weird and wonderful beliefs that you just go, wow, that is incredible. How can you think, well, like a big metal ball on the beach in Japan, you know, that somebody, so how many theories people might come, but actually some people might really believe some crazy things about that. But you can always learn from other people, can't you? And and as you say, sometimes people end up describing nearly the same thing, but they've just got different words for it.
Yeah, I think that was a bit.
I think a number of people, you know, there's a number of people who have maybe had different beliefs or maybe no belief, but then when they kind of have that an experience or come to a realization that, you know, Christianity is real, Jesus is real, then they can sometimes then look back and see like all those signs or things throughout their life which they can suddenly make sense of. You know, it's like almost like this picture to come together and make sense now in the light of this realization.
It's almost a bit like we're getting all like deep tonight, Tom. It's a bit like the Apostle Paul, in it, when the scales fall off his eyes, they can kind of see. Yeah, they see what the reality of things.
He actually had the wrong contact lens prescription in.
Is that what it was?
I thought that was it.
You've ruined that for me.
Not a Christian anymore now.
That's me, Tom.
It was quite early days. Contact lenses, they hadn't really developed them very well.
No. Wasn't very good, was he?
So it's not only, there's that face again. Don't you try and sort me out, Annie.
It's impossible. It's impossible.
I'm a conundrum. That's what Alan says. So it's not just been the nativity on the beach. It's not just been the gluing camels to top of cars. It's also been gluing other things. No, it's been all sorts.
Lions from St. George's Hall.
Yeah. So we had Chris in the comments saying she came down to Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Me and my family have been along to many things. You know, thousands of people over the period, you know, of years have come to an event or an activity that In Another Place have done. But what's the kind of vision for In Another Place? And what's your idea behind it?
Yeah, what's it all about?
What's it all about?
Okay. Well, I would say, just to go slightly further back, for myself, my motivation in my life, I think, is to take good news outside the church. Okay. And so when I was 19, there was a mission, and talked about take the cross of Christ should be in the marketplace as well as on the church steeple. Okay. And I guess that's a lot what I'm about, is that loads of people don't go to church, don't find it relevant, not their sort of thing. But that doesn't mean they're not interested in God. Yeah. And actually, Jesus, when he was on the earth, spent most of his time not in the equivalent of a church, which was a synagogue. Yeah. A lot of time he spent out talking with people in the villages, in the streets, in people's houses, out on the grass, on the lake, whatever. And so he was where the people were. So that is what I felt. I felt that Jesus has made such a difference to my life that I think it's fantastic news that he can make things good and, you know, give you purpose and everything. So I want other people to know. So that's what I'm about. So by the time I got to starting In Another Place, which, you know, we just did the random nativity, first of all, we got this group of people together who were also interested in taking good news outside the church. Because the other really good thing is sometimes there's lots of different brands of church, aren't there? It's like Catholics and Anglicans and Baptists. Who wants to be a Baptist?
Who'd be a Baptist?
You know, free church or Orthodox.
Free church, not so free.
Yeah. So all those different brands of church, and actually, fundamentally, we all believe the same God, same Jesus, and the same Bible. But we just have slightly different ways of doing things. Some like to clap the hands more. Some people are a bit more solemn. Some people like a bit of bells and smells, you know, but it depends what you like. And when you try and get together and have a service that you all like, you never agree because you don't like it.
Ends up rubbish, doesn't it?
Yeah. But if you go outside the church, to loads of people that don't even know God at all. It doesn't matter whether this person is a Baptist or a Catholic or an Orthodox or not even got a faith at all. They just need to hold the ladder. They just need to PVA the
camel.
Camel's ear on.
That's right. So then it becomes actually it's all really about teamwork because you've got a bigger mission to do, which is to take that good news to people that don't know it at all.
So good.
We've created an urban myth.
About the camel.
Yeah.
Do you know
We've
what?
defo created you've created an urban myth. This will be legendary in 10 years.
In many,
people
many
will be
years.
saying, remember when she glued the hair to the car? I was there. That's what they'll be saying.
They will do.
They will, I'm telling you.
Many years in the future when Annie, goes to be with Jesus and they're saying they're singing "Who's the King of the Jungle."
Yeah,
they're doing
at the funeral.
Yeah.
With the actions.
With the actions. It all comes together.
Yeah,
it does. Apart from don't do it while carrying the coffin. That's a disaster.
No.
You've got to go ooh.
They'll drop you. Yeah.
Knocked you on the head. You got 6 dead pallbearers as well.
Yeah, coffin breaks open.
Yeah,
someone's super glued hair all over you. And then they say, Annie,
remember the time, remember that time.
Yeah.
Why does that turn into Peter Kay then? I don't know what happened there. Remember that time? Remember when she glued all the hair on the camel because it was baldy? First transplant a camel's ever had.
That's supposed to be Peter Kay.
No, I don't know what it was, to be honest. Well, this is just descended into madness.
And there's
it must be love.
Annie, I'm so sorry.
You're sorry. You started this.
I'm trying to do a deep, profound
it's been
interview
brilliant.
here. You've completely blown it.
And
told you.
Tao says, what's with this theme of glue tonight? Tao obviously arrived a little bit late. But one of the things we've had at Emmanuel many times is the choir.
Yeah.
Because you
just branched out to everything. You're just doing all sorts. It's fantastic. Loads of great stuff. And we've had the choir come and sing. And again, that's just been something we've had. Music's powerful. We've just had people, come along and see the choir. We never would have been able to get into church. And we've had the choir sing in the square, haven't we?
Yeah.
And all that. So it's just fantastic. I mean, but is that all kind of, how has that happened? How has all this different stuff kind of happened?
Well, I would like to give a bit of credit to God because I think he's helped.
Good.
Quite significantly.
A lot, yeah.
But I guess it's sort of snowballed. After those first few events on the beach, we did, I think, 5 different events on the beach. Never with as many people as that first time.
Yeah.
People like novelty.
Yeah, I want something different and new.
Yeah. And I think it was the 5th or the 6th thing we were going to do on the beach, which was for Capital Culture Year. We got on the local news again because we were the first outdoor event for Capital Culture Year. That's our clever thing. 3rd of January, I thought the only way we can do it is by having something novel. So we'll be the first one.
You're good at PR, aren't you, Annie? I think you've got a way of catching the attention of people.
Yeah.
So we did a sort of potted history of Liverpool called Shaping in Liverpool with some of the untold stories of Christians that had influenced, like the monks that started the ferry across the Mersey. Did you know that?
No.
I did.
There you go.
And various other ones.
Is that an urban myth or did that really happen?
No, I did.
Okay.
Yeah. Rode it at the time.
That's where that other song she wrote.
Row the
boat.
No, that's not. That was not me, and I'm not that old. So anyway, we did that performance. We were supposed to do it on the beach, and big disaster struck. It was really, really windy. We couldn't manage to do it. We had to relocate into the churchyard of St. Luke's Church, which was the one that we knew best, and still managed to get 3,000 people there because it had been on the local news. While they came and did a report while we were putting a ground sheet in a tree as the screen, and all sorts of improvised things, borrowing a stage from one of the churches and things. Anyway, after that one, I felt as though God was saying, okay, you've had your training ground, you've done the beach, now you can go semi-indoors. Hallelujah.
The Strand.
No, that was years to come. That's luxury.
You've had your training course, you can go to the Strand.
No, so then we went to Merchant Taylor.
Oh, come on. That's not that. You're on the way down then, aren't you?
Yeah.
So we went to Merchant Taylor's and did a big event there. Camel came back. That was later that
Ah.
same year. I think this was.
What year is this? 2009?
2008. You should know when Capital
Oh, I
Culture
knew
was.
what time that was. Well,
Yeah.
I didn't know when.
Okay,
yeah.
sorry. You
That's
lost
all right.
track.
Okay, yeah.
So the Camel came back and we did, it was an outdoor event, but we did it, we had electricity because from power rather than generators, which is just tremendous.
Yeah.
And we had the building to shelter in and stuff like that. There are so many stories. I won't go into it. But anyway, that happened. And then we ended up 2009. We thought, let's do a Narnia production. This had come because actually way back in our very first year, someone had lent us a little tiny shop unit, maybe twice the size of this salubrious
establishment.
bar that we're in now.
Have you noticed the heating's gone off?
I'm relieved actually because I'm not used to heat. In the Strand, we can't afford the heat. So, I was going to melt in a minute.
I think the fuse is blown.
That's right. It's probably because I'm sitting here.
No.
Yeah. Anyway, so we'd had this little tiny shop unit, and as to have it as a prayer room over one Christmas where they were doing the first ever Christmas market. Crosby light switch on is a big deal. Everybody shows up for it. So we thought, okay, well, let's make it Narnia themed. People like Narnia. I think the Disney films had come out not long before. And this was 2006. So we made it very simply sort of like Narnia, like a little trail, pick up a rock, a pebble, put it in Mrs. Beaver's pond and say thank you for somebody and things like that. Took about 10 minutes to go round. Funny story, the night before, we still didn't have anything for snow on the ground. We thought, to have something, can't we just have the carpet? So we'd prayed, please God, show us what we can have as snow. The next day, we went into Crosby Village and there was shredded paper everywhere.
Wow.
Never seen it before. Never seen it after that. So we thought, okay, that'll do.
Amazing.
Probably early days for risk assessments, to be fair.
Yeah.
Quite flammable.
Yeah.
But
cigarette
at the time, didn't think of that too much. It didn't go on fire. So that's all right.
Bonus.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Narnia
turns into hell.
Dante's Inferno.
So anyway, after that, so we had that little Narnia room set up. The first weekend, we had, I think it was 2,000 people came through that tiny little shop. So that gave us a clue that people love Narnia.
Yeah.
So that was sort of in the back of our minds. 2009, I thought, okay, why don't we make that bigger, make it an actual performance? So we have the characters in there, script it, but little sort of monologues. So we used a building called Old Christ Church in Waterloo, which is like a community building. Hired it for a month, did lots of planning, rehearsals. We had 4 of each character, and it was all sub-zero temperatures because the electricity was really dodgy, and we had real Christmas trees. So we thought it's
really dodgy in here tonight as well.
The safe thing to do is not have electricity on, and then we'll do it in daylight hours, no heating. So we had hot water bottles stowed everywhere. Anyway, it was really popular with the schools. They booked it up, and on the Saturdays there were queues right down the road. One of the visitors was the manager at St. George's Hall. So I met him in this glorified broom cupboard that was the waiting room. And he said, hello, I work at St. George's Hall. Do you think you could bring this Narnia to St. George's Hall? So I said, what's your job there? And he said,
I'm the cleaner.
Yeah,
well done.
Always thinking.
Years of experience.
Years of training. And he said, I'm the manager. I said,
okay.
Okay, I'll talk to you now.
Exactly what I said. Okay. So then I said, right, well, we hadn't thought we would do it again, but we'll have a think about it. So he went into Narnia and I went, it's the manager of St. George's Hall. He said, well, we do it there. Anyway, it turns out he wanted us to do it small in the corridors underneath for free. So we said, we're not going to come to St. George's Hall and do it small.
No, what are you thinking?
Exactly. If we're going to St.
the
George's
beach.
Hall, we're going to do it.
The world is our stage.
So he showed us around the whole place, and we got to the Great Hall, and we said, "Can we have a look in there?" It showed us everywhere else, and that nothing was suitable. And he said, "No, I can't show you in there. It's incredibly expensive. It's like commercial rates, and it was going to be around Christmas time." And we said, "Well, go on, show us anyway." And he said, "No, I don't think you understand the prices that I'm talking about." And so I said, "Well, can we just look?" So he was saying, I just want to say again, you can't afford it. It's impossible. So we said, well, we'll just look. So we went in and we said, yeah, we'd like to do it in here. And he said, but you can't afford it. I said, yes,
Yeah, but
that
you
is
can.
a glitch. But in the end, we compromised and we thought if we do it in the February half term, which is a bit of a dud time of year for them, this was early days in St. George's Hall where they didn't really have all that many family things on. It was really just like careers fairs and corporate dinners. And so most people in Liverpool had never been inside.
Yeah.
Certainly none of us had.
Myself.
And so February half term, he's a fantastic guy, Alan Smith. Shout out to Alan. He's
Alan Smith. We'll have you on the pod, lads. See what you do.
What, the manager of thingy?
St. George's Hall. Yeah, he's a real good. I think he's a Anfield born and bred, but he's got a real heart for just the normal average people in Liverpool, not just all the posh people. So he was really keen that we would come and do it. And he, to be fair, he took a big gamble because we had done nothing on that scale at all. You know, we had just done stuff on a shoestring in this old Christchurch, shredded paper provided by the Lord the night before. And
manna from heaven.
Exactly. And suddenly, except we didn't eat it.
Yeah,
That
don't
be
eat
wise.
it. That'd be terrible.
Don't eat
Yeah,
it.
you've got to tell people that sometimes,
I know.
you know, because they
Risk
will.
assessment
They
for
will.
everyone
They'll
now.
eat it.
Yeah.
Do not eat shredded paper.
Or
Yeah,
set it
no.
on fire.
Don't
No.
do another
With kids.
urban myth now
Yeah.
with the camels and the PVA glue, and now you're eating shredded paper.
Yeah.
Don't
That's
Don't
it.
do it.
eat it. That
You
was
heard
just a
it
flippant
straight
comment
from
about
the-
manna from heaven.
You heard it first
really.
here.
Yeah.
Shredded paper's
So
the
anyway,
future.
so Alan took this massive risk on us. We still had to raise £30,000
Was that all?
rent
Wow.
for 2 weeks. That was a bargain
Wow.
compared to what the price would have been.
Yeah.
And we had zero in the bank. So that was quite a gamble.
I love this.
Yeah.
Your alpha was like this.
Yeah. Just you had 30
Yeah,
grand
sorry,
and you thought
carry
that's a
on.
challenge. That I'll
we
take
thought,
it on.
Well, we thought obviously one major thing is when we did it in Old Christchurch, it was free. So
Yeah.
we thought we need to charge. And actually, normally when you go to a show or something, you pay.
Yeah.
It's quite a normal thing to do. And the people we were aiming for were people that were not Christians already. And
Used to pay.
but yeah,
Christians pay for
but
not
also
doing it.
because sometimes people that are not Christians, if Christians put things on for free, they go, what's the catch there?
Yeah.
Because you're only trying to get
Yeah, for
entice me
free.
in.
Yeah. And you've
Sorry.
got me.
Yeah.
So anyway, but we just had to because we couldn't raise this money otherwise, possibly at
Mm.
all. So we thought, right, the way to do it is hugely increase the capacity, have big long days. Fortunately, St. George's Hall have considerably better electricity than Old Christchurch
Heating.
did.
Going
So,
up in the world.
yeah,
Don't have
we
to set any
did.
kids on fire.
Yeah, we did fill the hall with 80 real Christmas trees,
Wow.
to be fair. So the risk assessment was risky,
Risky.
but not risky if there were no forms of fire. So, don't smoke.
Most
In
things
there.
aren't risky if there's no form of fire.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was the quite good at those things.
Yeah.
Now. So anyway, we set up. It meant we had to recruit masses of people. So we went on a big tour of loads of churches and community groups and said, "Would you like to join us?" Because we reckoned by that time we needed 15 of each character.
Wow.
15 Mr. Tumnesses, 15 White Witches, 15 Mrs. Macready's, Professors, and Mrs. Beavers, which is a lot of people. And then we had statues who sounds a really boring job, but you actually come back to life. So it's not that boring. And
Alan would make a good statue.
I don't know that he would. He stayed still that long enough. So then you do have to do this little dance. Probably good at dancing. aren't you?
No,
Bit of a mover.
no.
No.
You see him dance.
I've seen Tom dance. Tom gets right into it. He does
Okay.
all the moves and everything.
Okay.
Thinks he's brilliant. He had me
You could
dancing.
be a statue.
He had,
Tom, though.
we
could be
we
a
ended
statue.
up in the BBC Sports Personality of the Year, right? Just to cut in on your
Is
story.
that right?
And he had me dancing with the
Paralympic team.
Paralympic team.
Yeah.
We were dancing with the Paralympic team.
Good night.
Wife's still fuming because I don't dance with her. Anyway, sorry.
That was a
You've
bit
got-
of a cut-in on the
You've
story,
got to
I
have won a
must
gold
say.
medal for Alan's dance with you.
There you go.
Yeah.
Anyway, so all these statues. Anyway, we needed 500 volunteers
Wow.
basically to be involved.
Sell them all the
Because
ticket.
that was the actors. Well,
Still
that
not
was
Yeah.
a major part of it. Tom, is we are under no illusions that we are like Disney or something and going to
Yeah.
get loads of people going, "Oh, wow, it's in another place putting that on." Nobody had heard of us. They had no idea who we were. But if you've got enough volunteers there, then at least they're going to get their family and friends to come.
Yeah.
And so that was part of the plan. The other cunning plan was
It was a great plan, by
to
the way.
get the schools to book in because it's on the curriculum. It's a really brilliant thing to do. And then there were 2 different trails. Did you come to it?
No,
Narnia.
sorry.
What year was this?
We did it 3 times in the
He's
end.
going to
That's another
pretend he
story.
came to it now. You know that, don't you?
I came
So-
to Narnia in the Strand. I think that
No,
this was
this is
inside
a bigger
George.
version.
I think this is prior to me. I went to not Cinderella, Wizard of Oz. Was that you?
Not by us.
Oh, no.
Alice,
in Wonderland. That's the one.
the Alice experience.
Yes, I came to that.
So with
Did
the
you come to any? Have you
first
bought
one-
a ticket?
No.
Lady's 30 grand in debt because you didn't buy a ticket.
She's not. This is a miracle story. You're going to ruin it. Go on.
So anyway, we did it 3 times in the end. 2011, and then later on.
Because you're still
And
trying to pay
so-
back the money, or what?
So
Was
the
it?
2011 one, we had these 500 volunteers. We got schools to come in, and then because there were 2 different trails, so you could go into Narnia, either experience it as Lucy did, which I don't know how good your Narnia
Very
knowledge
good.
is.
Yeah.
Mine isn't.
She met, who did she
Mr.
meet?
Tumnus.
Mr. Tumnus, and went all.
Pete.
Thank Kidda Kidda.
Edmund went in. Who did he meet?
White Witch.
Exactly. So you had a very different experience.
So you
going
could do it
around Narnia.
twice.
Do it
That's
twice.
genius.
Genius,
Thank
aren't you? 2
you
That
tickets.
very
is
much.
genius.
2 tickets.
2 tickets. Go
Hey.
with school. Bring your
Ah,
family back.
Yeah.
And that's
Very good.
exactly
Do the
what
other trail.
happened. And also, Alan was made up because he said all the cleaners are talking about this and they're bringing their families in. And they were exactly the sort of people we wanted
I'm
to come,
guessing they
just
were fuming with
normal.
all the needles falling off the trees.
Well, actually, I had a funny time. One time, there was this fella walking through with all those blue paper towels for the kitchen,
Yeah.
like right through the middle of the forest. No audience in it. And I said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "Stocking the toilets up with kitchen towel." And I said, "There's a production going on. I always go this way." I said, "You're walking through a forest. There's Narnia here. You can't do it." "Oh, all right."
just blue snow.
then-
That's all
Yeah,
it was.
then
Blue snow.
anyway, we found him another route and it was all right.
Very good.
But,
Amazing. That's Tao. Tao was there. She went. It was Boss. Emma said we did go, Tom.
So I wasn't.
memorable.
So I wasn't. So.
Oh, I had to do it twice.
Cost me a fortune.
Different
Got 3
perspectives.
kids.
So can I just tell you about the 30 grand?
Yes.
So
Go
this
on.
lot of
Sorry.
30 grand.
half of
we had
Seamus
to-
Coleman. People are saying.
Yeah.
60
So-
grand. 60 grand. Seamus Coleman.
She got no idea. What
Go
was
on, carry on.
No,
Everton
sorry.
player.
Over my head. Everton, who are they?
Yeah, exactly.
Just reach into
Anyway.
the converted here. You know.
So so in the end, we had nearly 17,000 people came to
Wow.
the production. And we actually ended up making something like 99,000.
Wow.
You made £99,000.
Well, so the 30 grand obviously we
Yeah,
had to pay
you have
back.
to pay back.
And then we had about 25 grand of production costs
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you do actually
Yeah,
have to pay
Pay
for
stuff.
things.
Yeah.
And so then the 40 grand or so that we had in the bank meant that we could hire, because this was all done on me as a full-time volunteer
Wow.
from my kitchen table with a 15 hours a week administrator,
Yeah.
and everybody else was volunteers. So we were able to hire him in, that was going to pay for him for a couple of years to go full-time.
Incredible.
The administrator. Oh,
Yeah.
it's not. Yeah. Okay.
And it took a couple of years to get over the trauma of putting the event
I bet.
on.
I bet. Wow.
I got my husband, Pete
Mm.
Spiers, shout out, good
Yeah.
man,
Pint Spiers.
Right, Pete.
thank you. I got him to write in his diary, "I am never, ever doing this again."
Mm.
There would
Did he
every
write that
day-
in your diary though?
No, that was,
Nah,
Yeah,
that was,
there's-
that's
there's the
where it went
problem.
wrong.
that was the
That's
He's
where
never
went
done
wrong.
it. He's
He's like, yeah, I won't do it
kept his
again.
word.
So Annie, we've got a couple more important things.
Yes.
Not more important.
More
We've got another
important.
couple important things to do before we
Yes.
end. But quickly tell us, there's an Easter experience
Yes.
that's going to
There is.
happen at Easter
It
because
is.
it's an Easter experience.
seasonal thing to do.
And just give us the details of that and how people could come along and get involved if they're in the
Yeah,
Northwest.
I should just do a quick blast about the Strand, because basically
Yeah.
people may not realise that Bootle Strand is one of the most exciting places to visit.
Do you know
in
what? It comes up
Liverpool.
on this podcast very regularly.
Very
We had
pleased.
Claire came down. She slept in the Strands.
She
They
did, yeah.
locked her in.
Yeah.
She was in there with the
That's
wild,
what you get for shoplifting.
wild wolves. I think it was a
Yeah.
pack of wolves or something.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, Bootle Strand is the place to go. And you know, you can get there on the bus, on the train, in a car, on a bike,
And walk.
So easy to get there. On the canal, if you've got a means of traveling
Camel.
on a canal. not a camel. Paddleboard. I've got a paddleboard.
Yeah.
That's a good thing to do on a canal. And anyway, but Bootle Strand is a great place to go, partly because we're there and why kids are there.
Loads of good
The
stuff.
Big Onion, have you heard of them? They're there.
I went to the bookshop.
Yeah, that's anyway. Lots
I went
of
to Strand
things.
to get me wife a Christmas presents, and it wasn't a good experience.
You went to the wrong places.
I
That
didn't.
was
I went
your
round the stands.
problem.
It was like a ghost town.
Home bargains.
No.
That's where I went for Christmas
Downstairs,
presents.
I remember it, the Strand from years ago.
Yeah.
And it was like empty. It was sad to see.
Well, Alan, that is what is absolutely fantastic because it has been empty.
Yeah.
It has been deserted. We've had a pandemic, you may or may not have noticed, which has had a little bit of a glitch on things. But even before then,
I
That's
enjoyed
just to
it.
give people a heads up.
Yeah. People had started doing internet shopping, which of us has not
Yeah,
sat
yeah,
on our
yeah.
couch, cozy couch buying, and then we go in the Strand and you go, not on here.
Yeah.
Why? Because you bought it all online.
Amazon.
Didn't get
cheaper.
exactly.
Got there. Didn't even have to leave the house.
So shopping centres have changed forever.
Yeah.
They're never going to be the same. But the Sefton Council have been very brave and they bought the Strand and they've said, you know what, this is really important for Bootle and for this area, for the whole of Liverpool, the northwest, the country.
I'm just thinking, shame they
the
didn't do that with the
world.
gyro.
No, they bought
Sorry.
the Strand saying we believe it needs to work, so we're just going to change it around. So we're in the change process. The change process takes a while.
Yeah.
And so we are some of the very fortunate charities to be in the Strand trying to bring those changes about. So do you know there is a medieval castle in the Strand?
I didn't know that.
Is that exciting or is that exciting? And do you know you can go in there for free every Saturday between 12 and 2:30 and watch little 15-minute performances, songs, dance, puppetry. How exciting is that?
I only wanted an amethyst ring.
There you go. So that's because we own a medieval castle now.
Inside
That's
the
what it is.
Strand.
Yeah, well, it's
like
to be
Narnia.
fair, before we owned it, it looked quite like an empty corridor of 11 broken shop units, but we've turned it into a medieval castle.
That's probably where I was trying to get my wife's presents.
Probably was. Well, you'd be all right now. We'll just take her along to one of our performances. So we're there. We've got workshops there. You can come and make props. And
She ended up with a Leckie
sewing.
toothbrush.
Is that right? Well, she's
She
probably
wasn't
really
happy.
grateful.
No,
She's
she
probably
was
really
not
grateful.
happy. It's all about that.
So anyway,
Sorry.
I'm trying to be positive.
I know.
here.
Oh, no,
I
it's
know.
I
No,
am
I
being
like
positive.
this. I want the Strand to work.
We've got a little choir there. We've got drama workshops. We've got music lessons, inexpensive music lessons, like keyboards, guitar, ukulele. You can learn to sew. You can do workshops. You can make fantastic friends and be a part of the change. And
Wow.
who doesn't want to be part of turning Bootle into a destination that everyone wants to come
I
to?
want the Strand to work because I remember it when I was young. And
Well,
it was,
every
it was
time
good.
you need a Leckie toothbrush coming
Yeah.
to the Strand, got great
In
ones.
fact, I
Do you
could
need
And they
another one
even
by
have
next
ones.
Christmas?
You
she
know,
had brushed her teeth that much.
times are hard. So, to be honest with you, don't get a Leckie one. Get one without Leckie.
Yeah.
And then you can vigorously brush them and then warm yourself up at the same time. And no, it doesn't cost you anything.
My Emma bought me a I think it's a bamboo one because it's
Right.
good for the world, but I like
Not so good
Cut
for
my
you.
lips.
Not so good for your lips.
I went back to the
Splinters.
plastic ones. Yeah, it's a splinter or a toothbrush. You didn't
I
tell us
think you
about the
asked
Easter
me.
experience,
You
Danny.
told us
What are
about
you
the
going on
Easters.
about? Come on.
Yeah, it's
You
just
went off-
tantalising you, aren't you?
Yeah.
So the Easter experience is going to be on Good Friday, and we've just opened up 2 more performances on Easter Saturday as well. And it's a walkthrough of the story. So you actually get to start in our castle, which is pretty exciting, with the Last Supper and Jesus. And then you walk through this. He goes out to pray, and then we walk through the story, meeting characters who have just met Jesus. So they will tell us how the story went. And then we end up back up in the castle again. So it is free. Again, all these free things, they are free. But if you're able to donate something,
yeah.
that's great because
Very good.
actually, as you know,
Stuff
Costs
costs things.
Costs money.
yeah. So then that means that people really who can't afford anything can really be free. And those that can afford something, put something in.
Yeah.
So that's really exciting. And
Sounds good.
yeah,
People
that's
can
going to
go
be happening very soon.
On a website to find out, Facebook or...
They can. Either of the above.
Just look-
In another place. That's all
search
you got
for
to look
another
up.
place.
In another place.
Right, it's time, Annie, for Wonky Donkey. We've had a bit of an animal theme here. Do Do you know how Wonky Donkey works? I'm going to be honest. It's better if you don't. Do you know how it works?
Can I just say?
Yeah.
Not only do I know how Wonky Donkey
Oh,
works,
she's
but
an expert.
What's going on here?
She's got her
I've
own
brought
game.
with me
A wonky.
Your own
have-
donkey.
I'm the mother of 4 children. They're all grown up now, but we acquired a lot of things. So
If you pull a camel out of a bag now,
It better have a head on.
I have got in here a lucky ducky.
Lucky
oh,
ducky.
Thank
lucky
you.
ducky.
Oh, lucky ducky.
What
I've got
props? You getting that, Jack?
a rare bear.
A rare
A
bear.
rare bear.
Rare
I think she
bear.
knows how to play this game.
All
so-
right.
I've got in here.
Yeah.
I'm going to forget this. A funky monkey.
No.
Do you like that?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
It looks like the hair's. It's not much hair left on that one.
I know. Well, it's quite funky though, isn't it?
It's
You need to get the
That's right.
glue out again.
I probably do. I've got in here.
Wait. I'll get it. It's a. Why did I say that?
Oh,
Because
you're
I don't
gonna
know what it's
struggle
going to be.
with
It's
this
a
one.
fat cat.
I would have said
Wow.
that, but fat is not an in word, Tom. That's quite
Apparently
insulting
not.
nowadays. Have you not been reading the
Apparently
Roald
not.
Dahl stuff? I
Is
don't
it
use
called-
words like fat anymore.
What, you
'cause
can't
people
call a
get
cat
upset.
fat?
No, but you can call it a flabby tabby.
Oh, that's a bit harsh.
That was good, wasn't it?
I think that's harsher.
And
It's like you're trying to work
I've
around.
got.
I know. It's
I'm nearly at the end now. Yeah,
Go
I'm
on,
not
we're
impressed in this.
go on.
I
I
am. You've
I
gone
went
to
in the
lengths.
loft to
You've gone
get
to
all
I'm
lengths.
just
Yeah.
slightly concerned that you carry a bag
From-
around with these things all the time, or did you just
No,
bring it just for
brought
us?
it specially.
Okay, go on.
I
Wait,
brought from my Viking collection.
Oh,
I'll get this one. It's a Viking thing.
Yeah.
This looks like a horse,
It's a
Norse horse.
yes. That's good. And
Thank you.
finally,
Wow.
from my Australian collection,
More.
duckbill platypus.
What? And there's a wonky donkey in that.
No.
Oh.
Oh, she had you up
That
there.
was
like.
good.
Rob ran me off. At least I
Thank
didn't
you.
guess anything.
Thank
If I'd
you.
guessed something, I'd have been fuming. So, Annie, we've established that.
I'll
Oh, I've
line
gotta
them
get
up
the
here
timer
just
out.
so you can see how great they are.
I think my earliest statement about you not being normal was bang on.
Listen, a lot of people know me well,
Yep.
and they would totally agree.
I love that. No, what are you doing? Oh,
Getting the
I
time
thought you were
already.
just texting someone. Okay, so the top.
I'm the official timekeeper.
Do I
Let's-
get bonus points anyway? Like if I'm rubbish at the game, that was partly why I brought them because I'm
Yeah.
really rubbish at games. So then if I don't get any, can I have a bonus point just
I'll
for
give you
bringing
a
them?
bonus
Thank
point
you.
for bringing that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll give you the bonus
appreciate
point. for
The Norse horse. Very good. I think that actually has been one of the cards we had, Norse horse.
Over here. That looks like grass then, doesn't it, on the snooker table?
that. I can't see the
Eating
snooker
that.
table, I don't think.
Okay, well
Okay.
you can.
Can't see the.
That's right.
Okay, here we go. Right, so
I'll hold the duckbill
11 to
platypus as
beat.
a bit of luck. That
Yeah,
might help me.
11 to beat by Peter Dowd,
11?
MP for
Peter
No,
Booth.
Dowd.
well, I've just given up now.
no.
No,
I
don't
know
give
Peter-
up.
I know
Never give
Peter
in.
Dad. He's another planet from me. I'll be lucky to get 2.
I mean, in fairness,
You
he,
better be
he
helping me
only
out.
got 2 of them.
He only got it's.
I
Alan
got
got the
9.
rest.
Oh, that's
Alan can
fine.
help you if you want.
I help, yeah.
That's relief. Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Don't forget, stack them in different places.
This one I
think
feel
that's
bad
what
about
went
this
wrong.
first one after we talked about not
What?
saying the word fat.
Is it fat?
There's something fat about this one.
Okay.
Go on, after you've read it.
Okay. Grasp excess fat. It's the in your thing.
Grab,
Yeah,
Grab.
yeah. In your
Grab.
thing for the cat.
A fat cat.
No,
grab.
you can't call cats fat nowadays,
Grab.
Annie.
Oh, scabby tabby. That's
No,
what mine was.
Grab excess flab.
Grab,
Flab.
flabby.
Yeah,
grab
grab
flab.
flab. There you go. Next. Skier's lament. Skier's lament. Why would a skier be sad?
Slalom.
No, but what does it? What does he ski
Fall
on?
down.
What does he
Skis.
Skis.
Ugh, what does he ski on the skis?
Snow.
On?
Snow.
But why would he be
Snow.
sad?
Snow.
No snow.
No snow.
Pound offer. Offer you a pound.
Um,
Pound. How much? Can you?
Quid.
How much? Yeah,
quid.
but-
Quid.
a pound. If you're offering a pound for something,
Bid, quid.
bid
Bid,
quid.
quid.
Pull small carpet. Pull a small carpet.
Rug.
Yep.
Rug.
Tug a rug.
Tug a rug.
Rug.
You're almost as good as Peter Dowd. Equal
Well done, Alan.
portion. Equal portion.
Same.
Fair share.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Annie.
I'm on my own there.
Put name on dots. Put name on dots.
Hang on, Zach.
Put your
Put
names
dotted
on the dots.
lines,
Help us out in
sign.
the comments. Put names on dots.
Sign.
Yes. Sign.
Sign line.
Yes.
Oh,
sign
very
line.
good.
Got 2.
Very
I'm
good.
not
A
with Peter Dowd
Netherlands
now.
car part. A Netherlands car.
Dutch.
Yep. What car part?
Dutch.
Car park. Car part.
Crutch.
A part on a car. I've
Part
not heard of the
car.
frutch.
Clutch.
There you
Clutch.
go. It's more
Dutch
common than frutch. Chew midday meal. Chew a midday meal.
Lunch.
Munch lunch.
Yes.
Lunch. Oh, she's
Horrible
brilliant.
pair. Horrible pair.
Horrible pair.
8 seconds left. Horrible pair.
Not 8
Horrible
seconds.
pair.
If there's
Two.
longer than
two.
2.
Couple.
Two.
Luple couple.
Choose.
Choose
Blues,
news.
choose.
Choose
Do you want
blues.
to pass? Consume candy. Consume candy.
Sweet. Eat sweet.
Yes.
Sweet. Oh, she's
Summer
brilliant.
game entry coupon. Summer game entry coupon. What's a
Lottery.
summer game? A summer game?
Summer
Cricket.
game.
Sport. Yep.
Wickets, wickets.
Cricket.
And the
Wickets.
coupon to get in. Coupon to get in for
Did
cricket.
Tickets, wickets.
Wickets.
Ticket.
I said it.
Almost annually. Almost annually. What's annually?
Yeah. New
Yearly.
year.
Yearly.
So
Yeah.
almost annually.
Almost annually.
Nearly
Nearly
yearly.
yearly.
Yes. Time.
Oh, that is time as well, yeah. How many?
Very
that was
good.
the paused one, so it's all
Well, to be
left.
fair,
If anyone can get
That one.
horrible pair at
Yeah,
home,
Put it in.
I will not send you a nougat. I will
Hey, we
send
haven't
you a
said it.
nougat. I'm going to send you.
We haven't asked you. We'll have to ask you.
So let's count them up.
Count down. That's,
I think you've done well
all right
there.
here.
Very well.
Some
Well,
better than
I
Claire.
did quite a lot.
Some
To
better
be
than
fair,
Claire.
it was a
3,
teamwork.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Wow.
You're up
Very
there with
good.
Peter out.
Thank you.
Next
very
time you
much.
meet him, you can say, me and you are top of the leaderboard. Next time
Very
he's down
good.
the strand.
Well, I do see him down the
Yeah,
strand.
he
comes
goes to
to all
stand.
our events.
He
Comes
goes
to
to
the grotto
stand,
with
yeah.
his grandkids.
He's a good egg, isn't he?
He
Good
is.
egg.
No one's got the horrible pair one yet.
No.
No.
Horrible pair.
Oh,
it's quite
Emma
hard.
said double trouble. Sorry, Emski.
Horrible pair.
It's not. It's close, but it's not good enough.
Ugly.
Easy.
All right.
Calling people fat, calling them ugly.
You're calling
What's
them
next?
fat, not me.
What horrible pair? Tal's
Yeah.
gone for Tom and Alan.
Doesn't rhyme. Doesn't rhyme, Sam.
And the answer is,
Has
as
anyone got it?
told by Ray, gruesome.
Twosome.
Twosome.
Ah, well done, Ray.
Well done, Miriam, as
Anyway,
well.
so
Gruesome
yeah, we didn't do
twosome.
it at the beginning. What is this called?
What would you call that?
Well, down in Bristol, we call it Nujat.
That's a curveball.
That's a swear word, I bet.
So, what do you think of that then?
Yeah.
Do you know about those regional differences? around the country?
Nujat.
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 The
But we
Nujat.
don't ever say a tut at the end of the word. You see, you just leave it hanging.
Okay.
Nujat.
Because
Nujat.
Nujat is like nougat, but
That's right.
nougat.
Yeah, Nujat.
Can I tell you, Annie
Nujat with a
she doesn't even know what they call this in Liverpool. Lived in Everton for 13 years.
15.
15.
Nugget.
Ah, you saved
Get
yourself
it.
there.
I know.
You
I
saved
know.
yourself.
Listen,
Did you?
listen. I know what this is called too.
What's
Lemonade.
Lemo?
Lemo.
Lemo.
No,
Lemo.
that's not Lemo.
It is. I know cocaine
know what,
is
Annie?
also Lemo, but this is Lemo.
You've explained
It is.
everything now, Annie. Can we get you? We totally get you
You're
now.
on the Lemo. That's what's up
Gluing
here.
camels,
Listen,
carrying around teddy
It
bears.
can be Lemo, can
Perfect
be
sense.
Coke, but it also can be the generic term for
Do you know
all
what?
fizzy drinks. You just asked.
Okay.
Spread it like wildfire.
Yeah.
There's 2 urban myths out there.
And
now.
he's on the Lemo.
No.
It's true. You ask the listeners, the
How much?
viewers, say, has anyone heard of the generic word for fizzy drinks? This is back when I was in Everton.
Okay.
So
No, it is as
to
well.
Be fair,
Annie, you're
to
not
be
British.
fair,
Well, Annie.
Alex, thank you very much.
You're
It
not
is.
bringing
It
this
is
back.
Lemo.
I know it's
Very
other
good.
stuff. I
Well
was
done.
a drugs counsellor
Well
for
done.
7 years. I do know there's other stuff as well.
The drugs people
But I
stole
haven't
it.
got it in here.
The drugs people stole it off us, didn't they?
They
That's
did.
what they did.
I'm
Wow.
talking about the naive days, you
Yeah.
know, when you could say things like
When
that.
I, want,
know,
when
I
I
know.
wanted
We're only
some
messing.
Lemo and it
We're
was
only
just
messing.
a drink.
11.
11.
11.
She smashed it.
Very good.
Right up there.
Very
On the,
good.
we might have to have a tiebreaker between them
We're-
somewhere.
We're getting
I
back.
don't know how we'll do that. But
Right.
Yeah. sorry.
Time for a story.
Yeah.
So basically, Annie, what happens is at the end of every session in Finnegan's, and this has been a particularly good
She's looking at
session.
you again, so.
I know she is looking.
No, I was thinking, I thought of a good story earlier. I've totally forgotten.
Oh,
it. So
okay,
anyway,
that's all right.
Hopefully,
Just
keep
then-
talking. And
Yeah, it will come back
mine.
to you.
As you can tell, I do have a lot of stories to tell.
People are after you telling the story
she
about the
sold some good
lemonades. People are quite keen for you to be a member of Finnegan's.
Especially if you can get the Lemo.
So the idea is, anyway, drawing it back in. Right, we tell a story. It can be any story. You've got a million stories because
have.
honestly, what a life
You live a
you've
good-
lived.
yeah, you live
Incredible, amazing,
an
very
amazing- yeah.
inspiring
Yeah, yeah,
and
absolutely.
adventurous.
Yeah, I love it.
So any of those stories we find, and basically, if the story's good, everyone at home votes, and we
Get him on the wall, lad.
get you on the wall. lad. We've got to do the
Lad,
the
yeah,
one
that's
for
a bit
the
sexist,
women there.
isn't it?
No, he's saying to me, get
I'm
him on the
saying
wall,
to
lad.
it, not
Is that
you.
right?
Get on the wall, not
Get
him.
on
Get
the
him
wall.
on the
Okay,
wall.
that's
Get
all
him.
But if
Get 'em.
it turns out badly, then
You're bad, lad.
you're barred, lads. That one is
That
gender
is
specific,
gender
unfortunately.
specific. That one. Yeah, we need to change that one. You're bad, girl.
Well, the good thing is that I can't be bad because I'm not a lad.
Yeah.
So it's all right.
Yeah. Well, there we go.
Just cut straight to
Thanks
the
for
wall.
watching. Thanks for You've ruined it, Annie. So, Annie,
Yes.
over to you for
Over
the
to you,
story.
yeah.
Well,
Have you thought of it now?
I've thought of a story.
Go
There's
on.
a lot of
It'd
stories.
be great.
Okay.
Great.
So, this is a story about me, I presume.
Please.
Okay. Just
Make
checking,
one
you
up.
know, it's like Jack and the Beanstalk or something like that. You could do that. So
Jack and the Beanstalk, from the Beanstalk's perspective.
back in the olden days,
1978.
1978,
Mm.
when I was 14. If anyone wants to do any maths, that's how old I am now. Really old. So
In the
I
comments.
took a gap year and travelled at the end of it to South America.
Hang on, gap year to 14.
Oh, she's joking.
No,
Oh,
you know, at the normal time you do that.
she said she's
joking.
I know, sorry.
Okay.
So I was between school and university, and at the end of the year, I was going with a friend to South America. And at the
Brazil?
end- not Brazil.
To your homeland.
Yeah, like- Bristle.
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 Not
sorry.
Brazil. All right.
We do
Anyway,
both ends, sorry.
Somerset,
Sorry.
really, not Brazil. So
Sorry.
slightly different down there. So
Let us speak.
I went. Yeah, can you let me speak?
Sorry. I'm here for it.
Not from Speak, from Edison. Pete was born in Speak. My Pete.
Pete.
Just thought I'd just throw that in. Nothing to do with the story.
That's good.
That's good. So I went to South America and I was working in Ecuador in a Christian radio station, mainly just like tidying cupboards and things. It was not very glamorous. It was like a holiday relief thing. And my friend was in Peru, in Lima, and we decided she would come up to Quito, Ecuador, where I was, and we would travel down together to Lima and fly home from there. And it would take, it was 3 weeks. So we were going to, have a bit of an adventure together. I'm sure you've got the handle by now that I'm a very serious person who is very well planned, organized. Risk assessment is my middle name. Wouldn't do anything remotely, stupid.
But this was back in the day.
This was back in the day before I became such a sensible person.
Before glue and camels.
Yeah, or eating shredded paper.
Mm.
And so we came up with a great idea within probably a few hours of meeting up in Quito that actually we could save a lot of money if we hitchhiked with lorry drivers.
Wow.
So we were 19-year-old girls at the time. So to be fair, we did save a lot of money.
Yes.
Because it's a lot cheaper than
Good idea. I bet your
getting the bus.
parents would have been overjoyed.
Fortunately at the time, of course, mobile phones didn't exist.
Yeah. So you couldn't
Even
text home
landlines.
and
Yeah.
say,
If you're getting hitching a lift with a lorry driver, there are no landlines around.
no.
No.
Stayed in hostels and things, didn't have a phone anywhere. So my family had no idea what we were doing until we got home 3 weeks later. So that was probably good for their nerves.
Probably.
Fortunately, had quite a good covering of guardian angels. I think probably all the spare ones on the circuit were sent to help.
Yeah.
There were a couple of near misses. One of them was we'd got actually this is the only time in my life that I think I saw an angel.
Okay.
So there were various exciting happenings on this, but one time we'd been on a lift with this lorry driver and it was just a bit creepy, and two lorry drivers.
That's textbook. Do you want to be murdered? Yeah.
No, we weren't
Two
murdered.
19-year-old girls thumbing
To be
down
fair,
a truck.
I never
I imagine
actually
everyone
was,
stopped.
I was never at all worried about being murdered.
Yeah.
But it was a bit creepy. So I had,
Just
had to
how they
sit
were
on
gonna
this
murder me.
fella's. I'd had to sit in this fella's little knee in
Oh,
the cab,
Annie.
and every now and then he'd have his hands up here, and I'd hit his hands.
Annie,
Quite a forthright person, and me and my friend.
just
Anyway,
pay for the taxi.
so in the well, by this time we were pretty much in the desert,
Yeah.
like in a road with
Wow.
nothing there. But we just thought we just want to get out
Yeah.
of this van when we can.
Yes.
So we came across a small number of houses, and we said, "Here, this is where we want to get out." And they say, "Are you sure?" Yes, absolutely. This is exactly where
This
we
is
wanted
where we were
go
trying to go to. Perfect.
All of this is in Spanish.
Yeah.
Rusty Spanish.
Yeah.
Kathy's Spanish was better than mine. Mine was good for get off me.
Yeah. Essential.
Other things were less.
There's like words that you can use that are like universal anti for
Yeah.
get off me.
Yeah. And anyway, so they let us out the lorry and off they went. Great relief. And then some fella the other side of the road in a British accent, and most people didn't speak English there, and if they did, they had an American accent. He said, if you're looking for somewhere cheap, there was like a big hotel there which was way outside our price range, despite all the money we'd saved on the lorries. And so he said, if you're looking for a cheap place, just go down the road and turn, left and right, whatever. So by the time we'd crossed the road, he'd gone. There was nobody there at all. So we followed his instructions, and there was a cheap place. To be fair, it didn't have any glass in the window, so it did get filled up with cockroaches, which wasn't the best, but it was a lot better than the lorry drivers.
Wow.
And so I am certain that I feel convinced that was an angel, because I think if it was somebody who was, who would have been concerned about us and everything like that, it was clearly British. I would be surprised that he hadn't hung around just to say, are you okay, and things.
Because it was a pretty odd happening for you
it
to
was.
meet a British person in the middle
So
of
that was one amazing bit on the trip.
Wow.
Another amazing bit on the trip was we had decided to be really heroic. Probably get an idea. We're sort of great romantics of, let's do this the proper, adventurous way. So we'd thought we'll go to a little tiny border where there's hardly any people, and we'll carry all our bags. This is 3 months worth of luggage, carry our bags across the border. We'll get whoever it was to drop us off like a mile from the border so we can feel heroes. Stupid. It was boiling hot, sweaty. There's nothing there.
You're thumbing down lorry drivers.
No, we weren't going to get any more lifts because we needed to walk to the border. We got to this tiny little border post. And thought, at last, and there was like a little bridge across the river to the other side, to Peru. And the little sign on this thing, a motorbike had passed us going the other way. The little sign up said, gone for lunch. So the one person that did the passport control had gone for lunch. So then we had a minibus full of Ecuadorian boxers arrived, who they just all think you're beautiful. They kept saying we were and looked like Olivia Newton-John. I kept saying, look, we really don't look like Olivia Newton. She was the in person at the time. So I know that we have blue eyes and pale skin, but other than that, we don't really look like her at all. But anyway, they wanted to marry us and everything like that. And so by the time the fella came back from his lunchtime, that's just in a lunch break. It's quite heavy duty. It was worse than the lorry drivers, to be fair.
I'm never letting my daughter go travelling.
Well, not with me.
Not with you, Annie.
Probably be fine on her own. My kids are much better than this.
Wow.
So anyway, by the time he came back from his lunch break, we were just keen to get away from the Ecuadorian boxers, to be fair.
Yeah.
Crossed over the bridge, thought, hooray, we're in Peru. Find a lorry. We're on our way.
Because Peruvian lorry drivers are all sane.
Absolutely.
They're not serial killers.
And
It's
when we
fine.
got over the side, the fella in the passport thing, the other side,
He'd gone on lunch.
said, I don't know why, but just because we were carrying our bags, looked completely, sunburnt and all hippie clothes, he said, I need to unpack you. You need to unpack your bags. I'm going to search you. Okay.
Wow.
And when you've travelled for a long way and you've got your rucksack and you've wrapped everything up in your socks and you've stuffed knickers in your shoes and stuff like that. We thought,
Always doing that.
And we were so tired and it was quite late. We'd had all this stressful thing. We said, please, honestly, we haven't got anything illegal. Which
is what you would say.
It is. Anyway, he didn't believe us.
No,
for some reason.
Fairness.
So we had to unpack everything. And then obviously we didn't have anything illegal because we are good citizens who don't
before
do
the
illegal
lemo.
before the lemo.
Drug smuggling.
So then we had to pack it all up again. And then we were just ready to get on the lorry. And they said, there are no more lorries today because the Ecuadorian boxers, of course, have been straight through, often the minibus. And so they said, nowhere to go. So you just got to stay here for the night. And it was like a couple of little shed thing, like a house, a little cafe, but very, very basic. And this little passport place. So we had bought a hammock by the stage where Kathy had. So we thought, okay, we'll do our brave adventure. That we'll hang the hammock up between. There was a police car there and a lorry, and we'll hang it up between there.
What is happening tonight?
That's all now.
So we'll sleep
Not like
on
a
this.
tree and a post. A police car in the lorry that could leave at any time.
They're just driving in opposite directions.
Listen, there were no trees. It was like the desert.
Okay,
there weren't
sorry,
trees.
sorry.
So you
Okay.
tied your hammock
Nothing
to a
was
police
going.
car.
Nothing was going. They told us nothing was going. Anyway, the only other people were there were some fellas from Liechtenstein.
You're making this up.
Yeah.
This isn't true.
It is true.
You're
and I
making
said,
this
they
up.
said we are from Liechtenstein, and I said
With the Ecuadorian
you are
boxers.
no, not them. They'd gone.
She's having us off, people.
I said,
Bara.
excuse me, Tom. I said there is no such place as Liechtenstein because I've never heard about it, and I thought they
It's
were
a
making
made-up
it up.
country.
They had to get the passports out and show me there is. There's a place
Liechtenstein.
at Liechtenstein.
Is it still around
What
now?
are the chances?
Yeah.
There were no one there apart from the fellas from Liechtenstein. Obviously, the lorry driver. that was gonna
Ecuadorian
drive the thing.
boxers.
No, they'd gone.
They've gone. They've got
And
off.
presumably, whoever the police car belonged to, I never saw a policeman, so maybe they just left it there in case.
Give up.
So anyway, but a nice lady
All these
who was
drug
there.
smugglers getting through.
This is quite a long time ago. It gets a bit blurry in your head. She said, if you get cold in the night, come into my pigsty, which is nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because that's better than getting really cold in the hammock. Because I'd
Was there
forgotten,
pigs in
'cause
the pigsty?
we didn't. No, I didn't think so.
Okay.
Meanwhile, back
Just-
in the Strand.
Wow.
So anyway,
What is-
we found like a big sack to have as like a cover, and it was a very big hammock. So the two of us were on this hammock between the lorry and the police car, and because it had been absolutely boiling in the day, you sort of forget that actually deserts get really cold in the nighttime. So by
Yeah.
the nighttime we were freezing. Then we thought, where is this woman's police car pigsty? Because it'd be better than the hammock.
Yeah.
So we're fumbling around trying to find, because it's obviously there's no street lights or anything because it's middle of nowhere. Anyway, we found a window that was open, went in it. I think it was
You
a
are
pigsty.
mad. It's not a pigsty. You've just gone into a murderer's house. What are you thinking?
There wasn't a murderer, Tom. There was no point.
She's still
no
here, Tom.
point were
Come
we
on.
worried about being murdered.
Where's Kathy?
It was
Where's
fine.
Kathy?
Where is
That's
she?
all I'm saying.
Is she still
Where
around?
is she? She's in Ecuador somewhere, raising pigs. That's where she is.
Kathy's fine.
Stuck
She-
on the border. Sleeps in a hammock
Better.
in the back of a police car every night. Poor Kathy. She's the real victim in all
Kathy's
this.
absolutely fine. You're just distracting from the story. So anyway, in the morning, the fellas from Liechtenstein and us met up with the lorry driver. We weren't going in the cab for that. Too many people for the cab. So he said, sit on the back on these like planks of wood, dangling like this high off the bottom. And he said, go on that. I don't know if you've ever been on a plank of wood on
Funnily enough, not.
in the back of a lorry across a desert. But one really
not happens.
important
It's on my
thing.
bucket list, though.
One important thing is you got loo roll to cover your face. Loo roll's not just when you need the toilet; it's also
Or
to
snow.
keep the dust off
But okay.
your face because it's really dusty. But we didn't know that on this journey he was going to be buying chickens, not dead chickens, alive chickens from there, goats. He nearly got a pig, but he bought cheese instead. And all these things were in the lorry underneath us, where we were bouncing along on these planks of wood,
Yeah.
dangling with the fellas from Liechtenstein. And
I
So that
don't.
was it?
I don't.
I don't know what's happened here tonight, Tom. I've gone. I'm speechless.
I think
I
I'm
don't-
either on drugs or I need counselling. I don't know.
I'll just
This
go,
is how counsellors
I'll
saying
just go
counsellor.
back to my limo
This
now.
is how counsellors work, isn't it? This is they sell you 6 sessions because the first session they just take
They
you,
just do you
take
in.
you apart.
Yeah. What are people saying?
Well,
Anyway,
I think the
just
walls
want to
fell down.
reassure you.
Yeah.
I
Go
want
on.
to reassure you. I did get to the end of the journey in one piece. That's why I'm here now.
Yeah,
amazing.
but
gonna
we
lie.
haven't seen Kathy. You're
Hashtag-
saying she's all right.
Hashtag free Kathy.
The most amazing thing. So when my parents
Kathy's
heard
life
about
matters.
this, and I carried on the thing actually. When I got back to Heathrow, I had arranged. I was going to tell my parents, and the letter I'd sent 3 weeks earlier or
Yeah.
whatever said, "No, I'll ring you from Heathrow that I'm coming."
So you got back to Heathrow. You're coming through security. And you're just looking at the security guard saying, "I've done nothing illegal.
Well, I hadn't done anything.
I've done
illegal.
nothing illegal." And they're like, "We're going to search you again." In there with the lads from Ecuador.
I'm
And a
Liechtenstein.
chicken.
So anyway,
Dead chickens, just carrying them through.
when I got
Tissue
back
around
to
her face with a
Heathrow,
plank on each shoulder.
Tom, I'm trying to finish the story. I got back to Heathrow and there was a bus going to Bristol straight away. So I thought,
Brazil?
No, Bristol. We got on the bus straight to Bristol, so I didn't have a chance to
I
speak
thought
to
you'd
mum
just
and
come back
dad.
from South America.
I know. So they were going to pick us up from Bristol, but I couldn't ring them because I didn't have a mobile, obviously, at those
If you
days.
tell me
There has
that
been a
you
photo.
thumped a lift from a lorry driver,
We're going to buy it ourselves.
So got
You need
to
locking
Bristol,
up.
got to Bristol, and then I thought, well, I might as well, because they lived, their farm is like 8 miles out of Bristol. And I never get a bus there because there's hardly any buses. But I thought, I'll get the bus to a mile away from the house. That's where so I got the bus there. And then I thought, I'll hitchhike a lift up there because I'm used to hitchhiking now.
Yeah,
all right.
expert.
It was a fella who said he knew my dad. That's
that's what they always say. I know your dad. I've not even told you my name yet.
I knew your dad.
Anyway.
He's tied up in the boot.
With the little dead
I should
chickens.
just give a little sort of warning to this.
A warning now. We're 2 hours in, Annie. This is only normally an hour. Give us a warning. You could have warned us 2 hours ago.
Along with the shredded paper story, don't hitch lifts with strangers because
Right.
it could be dangerous.
No.
But anyway, I was fine. He dropped me at the top of the drive because I was going to be a hero and walk down with my 3 months worth of luggage. And
Right
it's
across the
a
border.
third of a
Where's
mile.
Kathy? She's not with. Where's Kathy?
Yeah. Therefore,
Kathy
still
had
in
gone
Peru.
to her parents.
She's dead.
So a third of a mile down the drive, I get down to the drive, and as I'm coming to the house, I see my brother in the distance. Disappears into the house, doesn't run to greet me. He was busy saying to my mum and dad, there's a gypsy coming down the drive because I'd cut my hair.
He hasn't seen the prodigal son, has he?
That's right.
That's it.
And
Cut your hair.
So meanwhile, there we are. I got home. I was fine, despite slightly risky
Behaviour.
travel plan.
Yeah.
My parents, meanwhile, the house had burnt down.
Oh, shut up!
It was the roof had been hit by a fireball.
A
And
fireball!
It was.
This is no.
This is not true.
I can't go.
It is. Look at
She's lying to us.
it. It is.
A
It was fireball.
Fireball, part of in a thunderstorm. It was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is another whole thing. You don't want to keep going, do you?
No, you can't
You
leave
just-
it there.
It's like.
A fire. I've never seen a
Did
fireball
you
in
ever
my
watch
life.
the program 24 and you'd watch it? You're getting. You're
Yeah.
sticking with it. Then
Yeah.
right at the end, they just say something like "mad," and you're
And
like,
you
"I've
go,
got to watch another one now."
Gotta watch
That's
another
what
one.
live- that's
That was
what being
there.
with Annie's like.
It's
It's like this story's had every nationality going. Countries I didn't even know existed.
Fireball. We can't stop
It's a
it.
fireball.
Just
Oh no, just
tell
leave
us-
it there.
Just tell us the fireball.
Do the fireball bit quick.
Okay, quick. So there was a big mad storm,
Yeah.
and my mum was in the house with the guy that worked on the farm and lived with us as well. And she was quite worried about it. She went out to
The dad.
phone. The phone. And
Strange way to
this guy,
speak about your
she
father.
said, just go. She sent him up to his room or something. He came down. There was all this smoke coming down the stairs. And he said, I think he's quite posh.
I think it's a fireball.
No, I said, I think the roof is on fire. So she said, oh, well, just go and get a fire extinguisher, put it out. Went up and this whole massive smoke coming down. And he said, I think it's a bit too late for a fire extinguisher. So she tried to phone the fire brigade and the phone like flashed blue. And she thought, oh, a bit dodgy. But anyway, it did work. The reserve fire brigade from the local town, really excited. They never get called out. They all like took a while to assemble. Came up. Then she phoned the guy that worked, the herdsman, worked at the top of the lane and said, I think we've got a little fire in the roof. I think they'd had a little tiny fire before. He came round the corner of the drive with a bucket of water and the whole roof was on fire. I thought, oh,
Should have brought a bigger bucket.
a bigger bucket was in order. And anyway, the fire brigade did come and put it out in the end. But they had... So all this was happening while I was doing all these risky things. in
You've not
South
told us
America.
the only bit we asked you about. What's the
It's about the
fireball? What do you
fireball.
mean? Where does a fireball
does a
come
fireball-
from?
It's masses of thunder and lightning.
Yeah.
And
And
a fire-
just occasionally, there's a thing called a fireball. Which I don't know. I've never seen one.
Is it a
I'm
ball
from
of
South
fire?
America, hitting with lorry drivers. Don't ask me.
You were a drugs mule at this point.
So anyway, my little spiritual point at the end of this.
No,
is-
no, don't try and do that. No, Annie. You can't tell this whole story and then try
And
and
then said, Jesus loves you.
wrap it up in a little Bible story. I'm not having it.
It's not a Bible story.
Go on.
Okay.
But it is interesting that
No, nice
I do
try.
think
Go
God
on.
was looking after me. very
had to.
nobly.
He'd
When
have to,
you know,
yeah.
I was a little bit foolish, but
Yeah.
he was looking after me. But I think the same God was looking after mum and dad, who could have
Yeah.
burnt, that killed them as
Yeah.
well, this fire, and they were okay. But also, you'd think if there was a dangerous place to be, it was the hitchhiking with lorry drivers,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
in a farmhouse in
No.
Somerset,
Yeah.
where nothing like
Ever
that
happens.
happens, and nobody's ever heard of a fireball. And how can that happen? But actually, things happen to people.
It was a dad smoking in the loft. Didn't want to tell the mum he smoked cigars. That's what it was. I'm telling you.
Let
So,
us
there
know
you go.
if Annie
Oh.
so wall or barred or sectioned.
Wall bad or call the police.
I'll just go back to my limo.
Save us, please. Sorry.
It's normally the
She
guest
won't.
who feels like they're a bit like it's a hostage
You
situation.
won't let us leave.
Me, you, and Jack are terrified, you know.
Very good. Let us know.
Brilliant.
Let me see the comments.
Defo
Wall,
being one of the best.
wall, and maybe sectioned. So both wall.
Who said that?
So
I can't read it.
wall. Yeah,
Whoa.
but I think people want to see you on the. I mean, what a night! What
Wow.
a night!
What?
Very good.
Yeah. I'm worn out.
I don't know.
I'm literally worn out, Thomas.
Listen,
don't
if you've not met my husband before, you'll know to pray for him now.
What a
won't you?
man!
I know.
What a
What
man.
a man. I know.
What a man.
You're going on the wall, Annie.
You're not going on the wall. Like,
Just
well,
because I'm slightly scared what you do. Don't put you on the wall.
I think a fireball might hit the bar. There's only
gonna-
ever been one in the history of Britain.
I'm going to write the address of the bar on the wall. You could send the police
Send
and the
help
fire brigade,
now.
possibly.
Where's she
Annie,
going?
Yeah.
we're running out of space.
I know we're going to have to
Up
have a
top.
bigger wall.
There we
Oh, that's not very big, Tom.
go. Annie. There it is.
Annie.
Ah, thank
Can
you.
I
I'm
just
honoured.
say, Annie,
Yeah.
this has been
Amazing.
so good.
It
Wow.
has.
What a night.
I know.
I don't know.
I didn't know we'd end up there, did you?
I don't.
I don't know what happened.
I didn't even tell you half the stuff about who's the king of the jungle either, did I?
No.
Wow.
Or the verses that with the decapitated harvest mouse that never got through.
Wow.
And
I
you're not,
wonder why
you're
that
not
didn't
even,
get in.
You're not even joking. I know that.
No,
Is
I'm
there
not.
any camels in the extra verses?
No. It was
Uh,
a zombie. No, not a zombie.
Flippin'
A
heck.
terrifying
Dark.
harvest mouse. Sharks.
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 Martian.
Martian.
Who's the king
I
of?
wonder why they cut that bit.
Can't think.
What did you say about
Best bet,
sharks?
to be honest with you.
What did you say about sharks? Who's the king of the jungle?
Uh,
Who's the king of the
actually, no,
sharks
it wasn't
biting
shark-
off
sorry, it wasn't
limbs?
sharks. It was piranha fish.
Mm.
He's the king of the piranha fish, chewing on my leg.
No, you see, who's the
Doesn't
king of the
rhyme.
jungle? That was just the chorus. These were the verses.
Oh, I see.
It's
We'll have to
amazing,
wait
isn't
for
it? Though,
another
by
time.
popular opinion, they decided your verses were rubbish. That's slightly insulting, isn't it?
Yeah.
So when you find it
Hey,
anonymly, you're like, "They've not
Just
done."
getting
there's
£4
not-
grand a year for that
Yeah,
for the
that's
last
true.
20 odd years, lads.
True.
You, well, that,
You
that's
do the
it,
math.
that.
You
Yeah.
do the math.
Tell you.
57
Not a
years
problem.
old.
Yeah.
They did the math. 57,
58.
58. Got it wrong.
Just tell one.
Wow.
Wow, 2 hours. 2 hours. Longest one we've ever done.
Emma, if you don't hear from me pretty shortly, send help.
Oh, dear.
I love you, children. We've had our differences, but let's put them aside.
Oh, dear. me.
Okay.
Yes,
that's-
wow.
That is so. Thank you so much, Annie.
Pleasure.
We've not got time for Tom's top tips.
We
or
have
have we?
got
We have.
Tom's top tips.
Tom's top tips.
Avoid
Stay away from
lemon.
Annie.
Don't get in. Don't get
Don't
in.
go
Lorry
to another
drive.
place.
We could give the very serious message. Don't use PVA glue on camels.
Camel. True.
Don't eat shredded paper.
Yeah, and don't do lemo.
hitchhike
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
with lorry drivers.
Oh, the lemo's
It's
okay,
true.
apparently. Crack on. It's fine.
So
We've
Next-
got no time for Tom's top tips.
we've got no tips.
We've
Next
missed
week.
loads
Right.
out.
That's all right. Don't
Yeah,
worry. It's
no.
been.
It's been amazing. Annie,
Thank
fabulous.
you for coming.
Yeah, thank you for
Thank
coming
you.
first.
That's going to go
Because we
down.
rang you quite late.
Yeah.
You know, not today, but Monday, I think it was, yeah.
Pete was happy for you to go out there.
Pete changed the locks.
This is your new home.
Pete's moved.
Changed his name to Juan. He lives in Peru now.
With Annie.
Taking a boxing career. Okay, we've got to stop.
Yeah,
We've got
we
to
have
stop.
got
We've
to
got to stop.
stop.
Next
Got
week,
to
we've got
stop.
Ben Jack,
Yeah.
evangelist from the Message Trust. I'm sure he'll be very
Yeah, and the
sensible.
week after that, we've got Michael
wrote-
Layden,
Do you know what Ben Jack's new book is called? The Kindness of a Stranger.
The Kindness of a Stranger.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, and the week after we've got Michael Layden, who's actually the dean
The
of
dean.
a theological college.
Dean of a theological college. He is clever, though.
Ring that bell.
We better.
All right.
Time.
God bless you. Thank you so much for joining
Thank
tonight.
you. Good
Annie, you're a
night.
superstar.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Bye.
coming to be
Absolute
with us.
superstar.
We'll see you again next Wednesday for another episode of
Wednesday night at Finnegan's.
Wow. Wow.